Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Zernitskaya, would you like to read the land acknowledgement?
I'd be happy to. The city of Santa Monica is located on the land of Tovangar. With great respect, the city acknowledges the Gabrieleño Tongva as the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of Curavanga, a village that we know as Santa Monica. We honor their elders, past and present, and the Gabrieleño descendants who are part of the Gabrieleño Tongva tribes. We recognize that these peoples are still here, and as settlers and Kuyam, guests, we recognize our responsibility and obligation to care for their land in partnership with them. The city of Santa Monica commits to work in partnership with the Gabrieleño Tongva people to uplift their voices and visibility on their ancestral land.
Thank you.
I'll now call the roll. Councilmembers Wick.
Here.
Councilmember Hall.
Present.
Councilmember Braskin.
Here.
Councilmember Snell.
Here.
Councilmember Zernitskaya.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Torosis.
Here.
And Mayor Negrete.
Here.
I will now ask if any council members will be recusing themselves pursuant to the Levine Act this evening. Hearing none. Mayor, there's a few announcements, I think, on your agenda.
Yes, item 4J is being pulled at the request of staff and will not be heard. So if you've signed up to speak for item 4J, it has been pulled and will not be heard tonight.
You have another announcement, too.
I do.
Should be in red.
Oh, members of the public can now provide public comment by telephone. You must register to provide public comments by phone. Please see the agenda and/or visit Agendas and Minutes webpage for more information, which is on santamonica.gov. This is a pilot program, so be patient with us, but you can now provide comment by phone.
Okay, we'll now move on to public input. Public comment is permitted only on items not on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. State law prohibits the city council from taking any action on items not listed on the agenda, including issues raised under this agenda item. And it looks like we have 11 speakers this evening.
Okay, I'm going to call up the first few names: Jerry Rubin, Ann Bowman, Chris Gutierrez, Denise Barton, and B. Barba Padilla.
Well, thank you very, very much, Mayor Negrete, Mayor Pro Tem Torosis, honorable council members, honorable interim city manager, city attorneys, city clerk, police officers, and fellow Santa Monicans. Happy Earth Day, and as you already know, Earth Day is every day. And that's a good thing, and that's a needed thing right now, because we owe it to Mother Nature to do everything we can. And Santa Monica has been a leader in sustainability. I just came from the Santa Monica Library. A lot of people, a lot of booths. Gilda Bay was there. Our laureate poet was there and had a booth writing poems. Anne Carmack, what a beautiful, she's a poem unto herself. The Urban Forest Task Force and landscape people were there. Kids were there. It was just amazing. All the great things the city has, and the library, and the need to take care of all that we have created. So I just want to thank you, basically, and wish you a happy Earth Day, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Ann Bowman.
Hey, good evening and happy Earth Day. My name is Ann Bowman. I'm one of the founding members of a new nonprofit. It's called the Great Park Coalition. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that we formed last summer, and we wanted to start introducing you to different aspects of our group. When we were putting the organization together last summer, we put together a mission statement and guiding principles, and as we did that, it quickly move beyond just things like the need for parks and fields and sculpture gardens and all the recreational amenities that we really do need in our very park-poor town. The guiding principles skewed very quickly towards things like addressing climate change, implementing sustainability practices, conserving and restoring open space, biodiversity. So many different aspects kind of on a whole sustainability continuum. And because of that envisioning, we've been really lucky to attract some pretty high-powered people to our coalition who have expertise in environmental law, in sustainability, in climate and social justice. And they have come together and formed what we call a working group. We have a number of different working groups that are a part of our coalition. Our sustainability working group is chaired by Dean Kubani, who headed up sustainability for the city for many years, and then also Chris Gutierrez, who I think many of you know. Her fingerprints are all over sustainability practices in town. So several members of our working group will be speaking to you about sustainability tonight, and it really is just my honor, because I'm not a sustainability expert, to say I hope you enjoy what they have to say. Thank you so much. Happy Earth Day.
Thank you. Chris Gutierrez?
Hi, it's good to be with you on this Earth Day. Welcome back, City Manager, Interim City Manager Elaine Polchek, and hello, everyone. 55 years ago, Earth Day was established. You all are much younger than I, but I remember the rivers burning, the contaminated land, the brown haze lining our beach edge of the ocean. Our American choices, unfortunately today, still contribute to the deteriorating biodiversity, and our overheated climate conditions are now what's sparking the fires. But we have led in Santa Monica differently, especially with our sustainability rights ordinance. Our rights of nature and our community rights being fundamental, it obligates us to take care of ourselves as we take care of our natural ecosystems. Now we have in Santa Monica, with the airport closing soon, the chance to protect the last large ecosystem in our city and create a great park. Size matters here. For us to create a great park where cultural and recreational activities can nourish people and the planet. Our airport site is our public land, our public asset. It is our commonwealth for our common good. It is in Pope Francis's words of his encyclical Laudato Si, the natural ecosystem as our common home. We need to create a great park and take seriously what it means to take care of ourselves and our natural communities. We need and can build sustainable housing in other places suitable in the city for that development. The great park can offer residents and visitors for generations quality lives by stepping beyond buildings and into the wide open spaces to breathe and be in our common home. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Barton? Okay. B. Barbara Padilla? Yeah.
Good evening, City Council members. This is my first time here ever. My name is B. Barbara Padilla. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm a mixed race, brown and white, genderqueer femme. I'm a resident of the Ocean Park neighborhood. I was born in Santa Monica and raised between the West Side and Inglewood. I'm a California Climate Action Corps fellow working for Food Cycle, Food Rescue Oregon, LA. My family's been in Santa Monica for 4 generations. I've returned to Santa Monica specifically to work with young people and give back to this community. I'm a proponent of ensuring the Great Park Project guarantees Santa Monicans green urban space and space for urban agriculture. I believe affordable housing and gentrification are much bigger and intricate issues that deserve proper care and attention. However, I do believe that maybe in our efforts of considering building additional housing in Santa Monica at the airport site, that it would only contribute to more congestion and harmful ecological impacts. I sit on the city's Land Back and Reparations Committee, and I want to ensure we properly invite Tomva elders and community leaders of color before any decisions building on this land are made. Also want to ensure that young people here have the opportunity to engage in climate action for futures to come. I'm currently starting a youth climate action literacy sci-fi fantasy program to engage mixed and multiracial, queer and trans, poor and working class, neurodivergent and disabled, transracially adopted, Black, Indigenous, and youth of color on sustainability, environmental change, and climate disaster preparedness through a grant that I received from the Santa Monica Human Relations Council. And I look forward to this opportunity to work with the Great Park Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you. And before Ms. Barton comes up, I'm going to call a few more names. Eve Lopez, Micah Jordan, Walter Lamb, Sylvie Rocab, and Jonathan Foster.
Good evening. I'd like you to look at your said priorities from the special joint meeting of the Santa Monica City Council on March 8, 2025 at the main library. I believe you said your priorities were the homeless, a safe and clean city, and economics. First, the homeless. It would have been nice if you would have informed the community that you intended to not enforce the Grants Pass Supreme Court decision before the election, which is only bringing more homeless to the city, resulting in overuse of emergency services by the homeless. And if you close the beaches and parks at night, you're only pushing the homeless into downtown and the neighborhoods, making things more unsafe for everyone. Scoring that as a failure due to the community's hope that you would be trying to decrease the homeless population, not increase it. Next, the safe and clean city. Your vision of a clean city is one with used syringes and other paraphernalia scattered throughout the city, as well as the homeless and addicts urinating and defecating on the sidewalks is fine with you. And I'm confused if your hiring of police officers is not keeping up with the number of officers retiring or leaving. How's that helping, especially when the chief has told you he needs more officers? So this, with the continued crime and cleanliness issues, again, you score as a failure. Finally, on economics, you have to hire more police to make the city safer, leading to businesses opening. People coming to the new businesses resulted in more tax revenue for the city. So again, you score as a failure. Thank you.
Thank you. Eve Lopez.
Good afternoon. I have a short video that will hopefully play today.
The California Disaster Airlift Response Team Network is comprised of skilled volunteer pilots who utilize their experience, personal equipment, and aircraft to transport critical supplies and personnel many miles, or the last mile, between the disaster area and local airports in the disaster zone. Our CalDART operators are located in communities and airports around the state. They conduct annual readiness exercises, working with local organizations that assist during disasters to prepare for the logistical issues that could arise in an emergency. Volunteer pilots, ground support are essential to help us assist you and your neighbors throughout California during a crisis. We are a necessity in your community's lifeline during an emergency. We are CalDART.
My name is Eve Lopez. I'm a resident of Sunset Park. I'm also a commercial pilot and an attorney. And as indicated on the flyer that will hopefully be posted, we are hosting our annual simulated disaster statewide event. I'm part of the Disaster Airlift Response Team. I'll be deployed from Santa Monica with simulated.
The California Disaster Airlift Response Team Network is comprised of skilled volunteer pilots who utilize their experience.
So there'll be simulated supplies, which is a box of cookies. So we have open seats for any city council member who'd like to join us or any members of the press. Again, some of us will be deployed from Santa Monica Airport, others into Santa Monica Airport throughout the LA basin, at least for the local chapter, and throughout the statewide for other airports. We'd love to see you and host you and show you how we'd like to help, continue help during these emergencies. Thank you.
Thank you. Micah Jordan.
Good afternoon, Council people. Excuse me as I'm very ill, but I wanted to come. I just found out today that I would be speaking, so please bear with me as it feels like somebody is like sitting on my head. No. My name is Micah Jordan, and I'm the manager of Jordan Fellows LLC, a small business owned by my minor son, Tony, and his older brother, AJ. We recently joined the Pico Roots Marketplace about 45 days ago. Initially excited about the opportunity, however, some concerns have arisen. One issue is the lack of information provided about the rich history of the Black and Brown community that calls the marketplace home. This historical background should be prominently featured at the marketplace as it is essential is an essential part of its roots. Additionally, we have experienced incidents of stolen, damaged, or broken inventory within the marketplace itself, leading us to file a police report, despite requesting footage from the community corporation, which has not been provided. Now we rely on detectives for insurance purposes. There's also an issue of subleasing as a daycare. Children under the age of 8 are often seen inside the marketplace during operating hours. Our contract nor our insurance supports this impromptu daycare. Today, I was asked to go to the marketplace to bring samples of what we sell to the council meeting, but it was closed at 1 p.m., despite the operating hours being 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. I went down the street to Dr. T's for boba and to soothe my throat and returned 25 minutes later, and it was still closed. Operating hours should not be open to interpretation. The business owners within the marketplace have offered on numerous occasions during our short tender to volunteer to man the shop to both extend the operating hours and to have it open on Wednesdays. We have been told that other small business owners are apprehensive with other owners being in the shop, but if they're okay with being open less than 40 hours a week, disappointing sales, and impromptu daycare, are they in the marketplace for the right reason? Furthermore, sales and foot traffic at the marketplace have been disappointing. This month, the month of March, only brought in a little over $1,500 in revenue, falling far.
I want to make sure you email us if you haven't already, please. Yes.
I'll get the email.
Yeah. Thank you. Walter Lamb?
Thank you, Mayor, Council members. I'm Walter Lamb, representing the Bino Wetlands Land Trust. A little bit of background for my comments tonight is that the City of Santa Monica has representation on a locally based non-regulatory state agency called the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission. I think many of you are familiar with that. That representation comes through the West Side City's Council of Governments, which is Santa Monica, Culver City. I know you probably know this, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, and a few city and county communities. Last week, the commission voted to remove certain scientific terms, so climate change, ocean acidification, carbon sequestration, and some well-established policy terms like equity, environmental justice, and some others from its work plan, which then serves as the basis for an application for federal funds. Before the vote, there was good and healthy discussion and debate. I'm not here tonight to reopen that or to shift that discussion here. I just think it's important that we be aware, that everyone be aware that this is happening. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that we're currently experiencing an unprecedented assault from the federal government on these concepts. And so really just asking for your help in monitoring this to see where it goes. Now, the organizations or the entities that voted, Councilmember Hall, I think you were representing the West Side COG at that meeting, and voted for the removal of those terms, and I think forcefully so. And I think your main argument, hopefully I'm not mischaracterizing this, is that to get the $850,000 of federal funding, it was okay to remove the words as long as the work wasn't impacted. Now, I would make an argument that when you start removing words, you are impacting the work. But setting that aside, would really just like your help in making sure that what you anticipated does come to be true. And we already have some websites that are coming down and some language changes. I think that's my time, but let's keep this discussion going. I think it's important. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sylvia Rokab? Or Rokab? Am I saying that correctly?
That's pretty close. So good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I am delighted to be in your presence, and I'm grateful for your service, every one of you. What I'd like to say is start with the concept of Earth Day. For me, is both joyful in the sense that it's a celebration, but it's also deeply heartbreaking, given that the life systems of our planet are unraveling. I know it's very hard to say and it's hard to listen. At the same time, the city of Santa Monica, for me, has been a big beacon of hope in the sense that you have, as a city, really prioritized sustainability actions. And the Sustainability Rights Ordinance is extraordinary, really allowing the rights of nature to be present in our city, and also the rights of the people to have a livable, healthy, sustainable environment. And it's been a shining light to so many cities around the world. What I recently realized is the statistics that in terms of green spaces at Santa Monica, or should I say the average city the size of Santa Monica around the US, is 11 acres to 1,000 inhabitants. We only have here in our city 1.4 acres. So basically, it's not absurd to say that it's almost like our city is mostly a concrete jungle. The opportunity that we have with the airport land being transformed into an ecological ecosystem that will be regenerative, both for our local Santa Monica and Southern California ecosystem, as well as making an impact globally, I think is an incredible opportunity. And I just want to invite us all to consider that we could take these 200 acres of land and really create something extraordinary.
Thank you. And before Mr. Foster comes up, I'm going to call the last few names here. Lily Flores, Harvey Etter, and Pam Verinder.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. It says over there, hate has no place in Santa Monica, and I wanted to note that in the Proverbs it says to hate every false way. Happy Easter, everybody. Jesus is God. That's what runs us, and a lot of people don't like it. Mayor, I remember that interview. You showed up in your Foot Locker uniform. I thought that was kind of funny. I hope that went well. So I wanted to say something about John Alley's sign on 3rd Street. I didn't like some aspects of the signs from the past, and I support the Santa Monica Coalition and maybe their whole overall mantra, but it just, I don't know, smart people, I just kind of figure just like downtown Santa Monica, smart people should be able to do what they're doing a little better than showing the mayor of Los Angeles' family, I think I don't think that was right. So I love John and I love what they're doing, so I support it, but maybe they could change the sign. So back to this one. You council, this 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you could become legendary. This could happen. You could become legendary. You could put exam and cross-examination back into the government of Santa Monica. You could have real government here. You could become the first legendary council of Santa Monica, putting real government. You have that option is available to you. You could step into that. And I think that you should. I'm going to come back and talk about this one, whatever it is, 10A or something, right? And so, but I haven't heard the target language, and I guess it's going to go on and on and on. But government's not going to happen here. It's going to be the private equity takeover is going to run this decision. I hope.
Lily Flores, Harvey Etter.
Howdy, my name's Harvey Etter. I'm speaking for myself and for the Public Solar Power Coalition and for the Tenants Association at Step Up on Second. I formed the Tenants Association and trying to get it. We're interested in buying the building. There's supposed to be 2.5 million units built in 5 years in the state. 1 million is supposed to be LMI. Okay, the council, this is at the Housing Commission, said they took the very lowest people on the street, the very lowest income, and took them out, and they're not eligible to participate in home ownership. Okay, I want to know how this came about, and it doesn't seem legal to me. I got 40 years experience as a paralegal from UCLA. Anyway, I'm being evicted. We've had shit in our toilet for 6 months. They cleaned it out 3-4 times. The plumbing's bad. We want to assess the building. They're being sued by Bonta for $114 million with Shangri-La. A bunch of cities are listed on this. Y'all could be one of them, all right? This Judge Carter, non-vet, goes around and talks to people. This is the real, okay? Now, we had the sheriffs come into our place, drilled it out, and said they had papers, legitimate papers to evict us. This was a lie. I had an attorney on the other line listening, and about a third or quarter of it was recorded. There was nothing. It was all illegal, okay? Legal aid, Alex, the paralegal, said this is an illegal eviction. We said to go to the watch commander and get this done. We waited 3 years at Jack in the Crack. Nobody came. We went to Step Up. Nobody's coming. We called the city attorney's office. We got nothing. Okay? This is outrageous, okay? This is the tip of the iceberg, okay? This has got to be resolved, and you're all on notice. And oh, by the way, we got robbed 3 times in 2 years, and then we could not file on criminal because they said, the police said we couldn't do it, only civil. I said, well, you got a conflict of interest, you represent the city, city's liable. Straight up, y'all liable.
I just want to make sure Lily Flores here. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Lily Flores Aguilar, and I'm here as an affiliate for the Gabrielino Tongva Springs Foundation, as well as an alumni of Santa Monica College. So I feel very invested in this community for various reasons. But I just wanted to speak to the fact that the airport to park project is an ambitious project, and I think it's worth mentioning that we should be following the lead of Indigenous peoples. And thinking about how traditional ecological knowledge could be at the core of the way that we design the park moving forward and rewild it and follow the aesthetic and ethical principles of care for soil and plants as a means to guide the way that we move forward in revitalizing the land. And I hope and encourage you all to position yourselves, as I have, as an ally to Native peoples, and Native peoples includes the original caretakers of this land, but also Indigenous peoples that have migrated here and have made this place their home. And I hope that we can do so in a respectful and reciprocal manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Verinder. So that looks like that concludes public input for that section.
Okay. We'll now move on to special agenda items. Item 2A. Oh, looky there, 2025 City Clerk Week Proclamation.
Before we begin, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the council rules so that we can hear 3 proclamations tonight. Because we have it in the rules that we can only hear 2.
I'll second.
Councilmember Hall seconded. Can we just get an all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, let's begin with 2A, City Clerk Proclamation. It's City Clerk Week. Are you gonna stand up here? Okay. Whereas the office of the professional city clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional city clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas, not oldest as an age, but just, and whereas the office of the professional city clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas city clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional city clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas city clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional city clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional city clerk, I would have said of our professionals, this is very formal, but of our city clerk, Nikki Newsom, who we appreciate so much. Now, therefore, I, Lana Negretti, Mayor of the City of Santa Monica, on behalf of the members of the City Council, do recognize the week of May 4th through May 10th as Professional City Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional city clerk, Nikema S. Newsom, her staff, and to all professional city clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Yay. We can clap for proclamations, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, really? Nothing? So I'm so happy to accept this proclamation on behalf of my amazingly talented staff. A clerk is only as good as their staff, and I'm fortunate to have the best staff I could ever ask for. I'm also eternally grateful and proud to be accepting this proclamation as the city clerk, as this time last year, I was the interim city clerk. I'd also like to thank council for all your support in challenging us to be innovative with our procedures, ranked choice voting for boards and commissions, anyone, and to continually improve how we conduct our council meetings. We have some fun things planned for City Clerks Week, including Cookies with the Clerk on Tuesday, May 6th, and our annual virtual public record scavenger hunt. So stay tuned for more details. And thanks again, and I'm now going back to work.
Well, before you do, we want to take a photo, but I just want to personally thank you for being someone who shows up every time with the most amazing outfits and glasses and cheers up any room just by walking in it, but also for the support, your openness, and your willingness to work with such a robust and out-of-the-box thinking council. And just thank you for everything you do.
Is the new procedure? Is that the new thing? Okay.
Maria, come on. There's 3 people back. Okay, we'll get them into Mitchell. Everyone, come. I did.
This is so nice.
They will be reviewed.
Thank you.
I mean, I did work there when I was a teenager.
Okay, item 2B, proclamation for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Yes, and I'd like to call forward Yvonne Young, who's our Resource Recovery and Recycling Manager, who will introduce artist May Sun to read an original proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Nicoretti. Good evening, council member, city council. Like the mayor said, I am Yvonne Young, the city's Resource Recovery and Recycling, or RRR manager. I'm also the professional development lead for the Coalition of Asian Pacific Employees of Santa Monica, or CAPE-SM, which is the city's affinity group for Asian American Pacific Islanders city employees, AAPI employees. In honor of AAPI Heritage Month for the month of May, we'll be putting a blog post celebrating the through line of resilience of the Santa Monica AAPI community from the 19th century to today on the city website at santamonica.gov. This blog post will include links to events hosted by the city's library team, businesses, artists, comedians, and nonprofits throughout the month of May, so please look out for it on santamonica.gov. Just to give you a little taste of all the exciting events next month, there will be a film screening and meet and greet with a children's book illustrator at our library, an art gallery open house and comedy show at Bergamon Station, and a dog-friendly pop-up and marketplace on the 3rd Street Promenade in collaboration with Downtown Santa Monica. All events feature local AAPI artists and small business owners, and they're meant to celebrate the strength of the AAPI community. Everyone is welcomed and invited to these fun happenings, whether you identify as Asian Pacific Islander or not. So we hope to see you at some or all of these fun events. Now, I'm proud to introduce the artist who has created this year's proclamation for AAPI Heritage Month. May Sun is an artist whose work spans sculpture, photography, painting, installation, and public art. Her commissions can be seen throughout Los Angeles and in Boston, where she designed a public plaza in front of the gateway to Chinatown titled Chinese Chess Plaza. May has been awarded 2 NEA Visual Artist Fellowships and a Getty Fellowship for the Arts. Her multimedia installation, LA River Chinatown, premiered at the opening series of the Santa Monica Museum of Arts in 1988. So May's connection to Santa Monica is of long standing. It is our honor to work with May, who will now read her artist proclamation. May?
Good evening. It's great to be here. I will start to read the proclamation. The 2025 Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas the presence of Asian and Pacific Islander immigrants has a long history in Santa Monica. In honor of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in this lunar year of the wood snake in Chinese tradition, we wish to shine a light on their hidden stories, their resilience, contributions, and legacy. Whereas Asian Americans moved to the area in the 1870s, right at the founding of the city, when Chinese laborers worked alongside Japanese laborers to build the Long Wharf, and Japanese fishermen built their village there at the foot of Santa Monica Canyon. Whereas in 1882, Senator John Percival Jones, co-founder of this city, wrote in support of the Chinese Exclusion Act to prevent further migration of Chinese to the United States, an act that wasn't repealed until the Immigration Act of 1965. Whereas after 1945, when Issei evacuees returned from the federal concentration camps in the West in Arkansas and were given just $25 to rebuild their lives, they created Nikkei Hall, a gathering place at 1413 Michigan Avenue in Santa Monica to help their community to restart businesses, assist those in need, and celebrate holidays and observances. Whereas, in spite of being subjected to discrimination and prejudice, immigrants from across the Asian continent and the Pacific Islands have made Santa Monica their home and persisted in their endurance and their hard work. Ensuing generations have gone on to win honors and distinction in their chosen fields, including film star Wong Liu-cong, known as Anna May Wong, who ended her years in Santa Monica, and the Hawaiian father of modern surfing and multiple Olympic gold medal winner Duke Kahanamoku, who trained in Santa Monica swimming pools and developed and popularized volleyball on the beach here. Whereas today, we wish to honor longtime Santa Monica resident and distinguished artist Carl Chang for his visionary and environmentally relevant artwork, which includes sculpture in the city's collection. Whereas today, we wish to honor longtime Santa Monica resident and performance artist Dan Kwong, whose deep connection to his roots on his formerly interned mother's side fueled his interest in creating his largest artwork to date, the recreation of a baseball field at Manzanar. Whereas today, in an intersection with May as Mental Health Awareness Month, we wish to acknowledge the good work of the National Alliance on Mental Health, providing access to culturally competent care to the AAPI community, and acknowledge the AAPI leaders in the Family Service of Santa Monica, Program Director Chantilly Vijaya Sinha, and Clinical Director Kelly Delick. Whereas today, AAPI residents in Santa Monica include Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, South Asian, Central Asian, Western Asian, and Pacific Islanders. And the city staff representation of these communities contribute to a strong legacy of leadership and advocacy. Whereas we shine a light on the hidden histories of this country's minorities to assert their contributions to the building of this country. As Santa Monica becomes ever more diverse, our histories urge us to keep on fighting for our rights and the rights of others, and to inspire future generations to do the same.
Now, therefore, I, Ilona Negrete, Mayor of the City of Santa Monica, on behalf of the members of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the City of Santa Monica. Okay, we can clap.
I just recognize for I'm the bad mood.
Everyone over here. 1, 2, 3. Everybody knock out the door. And then I'm going to do a video. Look over here at the camera. It's for Instagram, so Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
You didn't know that? Yeah, Ben Allen was, but then basically.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
Different bills, and so they incorporated some of the stuff from Ben Allen to layered, but not enough as far as. Anyways, that was being heard today too.
Okay. Item 2C, proclamation for National Water Safety Month.
I know we have Joelle Simmons here, who is the Aquatics Program Manager. I'm going to read the proclamation. Hi.
Good evening.
Whereas the City of Santa Monica recognizes the vital role that swimming and aquatic-related activities serve to promote good physical and mental health and enhance the quality of life for all people. And whereas water-related activities such as swimming and beach activities are integral to Santa Monica's culture, but also present risks that require awareness, education, and proper precautions to prevent accidents and injuries. And whereas drowning remains a leading cause of accidental death, particularly among children, and proactive water safety education, including swimming lessons, CPR training, and responsible boating practices play a critical role in reducing these tragedies. And whereas the City of Santa Monica understands the essential role that education regarding water safety plays in preventing drowning and recreation water-related injuries. And whereas the City of Santa Monica recognizes the recreational water industry's contributions as represented by the National Water Safety Month Coalition in developing safe swimming facilities, aquatic programs, and beach activities that promote recreation, education, and personal growth, enhancing community well-being by fostering self-esteem, confidence, and overall quality of life. And whereas the City of Santa Monica understands the vital importance of communicating water safety rules and programs to families and individuals of all ages, whether users of public swimming facilities or visitors of our Santa Monica beach. Now, therefore, I, Ilana Negretti, the Mayor of Santa Monica, on behalf of the members of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Water Safety Month in the City of Santa Monica, and further encourage all Santa Monicans to recognize the efforts and commitments to educate the public on water safety, take precautions when enjoying the city's aquatic facilities and beach, and support efforts to prevent water-related accidents and injuries.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. Thank you very much, Mayor Negretti and council members and members of the community. On behalf of Santa Monica Aquatics, we are honored to accept this proclamation recognizing May as National Water Safety Month. Every year, thousands of lives are lost to preventable drownings, and every single one is too many. Here in Santa Monica, where water is not just part of our landscape, but part of our lifestyle, We take this responsibility seriously. Water safety isn't just a seasonal concern, it's a year-round commitment. But May gives us a special opportunity to spotlight that commitment and take it even further. This year, Aquatics is diving in headfirst with a full month of outreach, education, and action. Lifeguards will lead sessions with John Adams Middle School, PE classes, teaching how to properly fit life jackets and the importance of the heat escape lessening posture, because safety education starts young. Every Learn to Swim student this month, along with their parents or guardians, will receive a hands-on life jacket fitting as well, because safety starts before your toes touch the water. We've partnered with the Santa Monica Public Library's Storytime to present Whale Tales water safety for our littlest residents. Fun fact is they'll all receive a little certificate powered by the American Red Cross after their completion of that water safety presentation. And for our broader community, we are offering free hands-on only CPR training, empowering anyone to step up and become a potential lifesaver. We are also thrilled to welcome the Santa Monica Police Department's Harbor Patrol team. They will be coming out for a special meet and greet with our Shark Swim team and linking our youth athletes with those who have safeguarded our shores. And all of this ties back to one thing: action. We don't just talk about water safety, we teach it, we train for it, we live it. This month, we invite our entire community to take the Safe Swimmer Pledge, spread the message, and help build a culture of awareness, because when we work together, we save lives together. For a full list of our events, I do encourage you to check out our website on the Santa Monica Swim Center, where you can find all of our details and dates for all of these activities we have planned. And thank you again, Mayor Negrete and council members, for your continued support for water safety and for recognizing the vital work of our aquatics professionals and partners. Let's make a splash for safety all month long in May. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We got a lot of former swimmers on council, I think.
We're ready. 100 yards.
Oh, here, wait. This is my first time. I wouldn't know. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll now move on to public input for items under special agenda items, consent calendar, and closed session only. Public input is not permitted on ordinances for second reading and adoption, and it looks like we have 3 speakers in the queue.
Okay, so I'm going to call everybody up. Denise Spartan, Harvey Etter, and Devon Morgan.
Good evening. For items 4B, 4C, and 4D, all pertaining to providing water to the city and its residents, at a cost today of $3,850,000, which equals $700,000 a year for 5 years, plus a one-time cost of $350,000. And since the city claims the water is so safe, I have to ask, when was the last time the water was tested by a third-party independent source? I ask only because the city's water is blue, as once again can be seen in the fountain in front of City Hall. And item 4L, I find it very interesting that you continue to say the city has a homeless emergency. But by your actions, like not enforcing the Grants Pass decision, you only make it worse. So how can you declare an emergency for something you're contributing factor to? Then think about it. When the city's revolving door for the homeless criminals and no accountability for the homeless diversion programs, you leave residents, business owners, workers, and visitors targets for crime by the homeless. But year after year, now you've said you don't care about that by throwing money at the homeless with no goals and not providing enough police to make the city safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Harvey Etter.
Howdy, I'm Harvey Etter. I'm speaking for myself, Public Solar Power Coalition, Tenants Association, Step Up, etc. I'm speaking on 4. I'm gonna hone it in towards 4K, adoption of resolution ratifying homeless emergency proclamation. Okay, CEQA. CEQA has sections and they've got guidance. Those are legal guidelines like standards of care, standards of duty of proof, all right? So they require like political, economic, socioeconomic studies. And in there, you've got to deal with equity. I'm incorporating by reference George Stiglitz and Stigler, their books on economics that won a Nobel in 81 and in 01, about carbon captured agencies and about equity. The problems with the inequity is it's a threat to democracy. And his new book, Stigler, slams Hayek and what he did in the forest, Road to Serfdom with Road to Freedom. That freedom for the worlds at the cost of the life of the sheep. We got to work these things out. We're a culture. We got the best society. Okay, enough is enough. So this is required by CEQA, that these analysis be done. The inequity, people living on the streets, like me right now. This has got to stop. We've got to take a bigger picture. That we've got we're the second highest inequity, 56%. New York's only has a higher number that have places, rest don't have places. And what's the American dream is that you're going to have a place in rising equity. Gold's gone up 100 times in the last, since 50 years. So is prime property. All right? That's the way it is. Let's spread it around because we got a dictatorship coming in there. We got a continuing coup, and it's going to be on the streets like right now if we don't deal with it. Straight up. Thank you. Bye.
Devon Morgan.
How y'all doing today? I came up here to talk about what's going on with people in the streets. Like, some people are getting used as like, how could I say it? Like animals or whatever. Most people don't care about them. They don't know what they're doing, but they could send somebody to jail over what they're doing. Some people are using people's information and not doing the right thing with it. So, man, I'm trying to get out the street. I've been in the street for like 15 years. And, there's people been using my business license with my name, Director of Finance. And, I'm kind of over it. There's so many stores out here, but you guys would leave somebody on the street thinking that they're doing something. Yeah, that's it, man.
Thank you. So that concludes public comment for that section, and now we're moving on to consent calendar.
Yes. Consent calendar, all items will be considered and approved in one motion unless removed by a council member for discussion. In accordance with Chapter 615, Charter Section 615, the adoption of all ordinances and resolutions shall be by reading of title only unless a council member present dissents. No public discussion is permitted on ordinances for second reading adoption. Just a reminder, item 4J was pulled at the request of staff, and Councilmember Raskin will be recusing from item 4I.
Okay. Does anybody else, any other council members want to pull any other items for discussion?
Okay, I move the consent calendar with the exception of 4J and 4I.
I'll second it.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Tarosa, seconded by Councilmember Snell.
Councilmember Zernitskaya?
Yes.
Councilmember Snell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis,
Yes.
Councilmember Raskin.
Hold on, are we not pulling 4L?
I thought you said aye.
I thought it was 4I.
I'm recusing from 4I, but I thought it's been made a request to pull 4L.
She said no.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 4L, yeah. But I'll vote to do everything else except for 4L.
Okay, so sorry, I'm going to amend the motion that we approve the consent calendar with the exception of 4J, which has been pulled by staff, 4I and 4L.
I'll second that.
Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Sakin. Councilmember Zerniskaya,
Yes.
Councilmember Snell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis,
Yes.
Councilmember Raskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Zwick,
Yes.
Mayor Negrete.
Yes.
Oh, item 4L.
Well, he has to leave out the room, I think, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just do L because he wants to discuss it.
Oh, yeah, this will be really quick.
I'm sorry, can I read it to the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
As soon as I find it. JKL. Okay. Item 4L, adoption of resolution ratifying regional fires emergency proclamation and supplements.
I wonder if my colleagues would be amenable to giving direction to extending the emergency orders provisions with respect to restaurants beyond the April 30th expiration date, perhaps for another 2 months.
Yeah, I'm amenable to that.
So am I.
Okay, I'll move the item with that direction.
Second.
Can we do a voice vote or? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes. So now Councilmember Raskin is going to recuse himself for item 4I.
Yeah, just very briefly, a partner in my law firm, Hanson Bridge LLP, represents TransTech Engineering on a matter related to insurance coverage. It has absolutely nothing to do with this agenda item. There is no financial interest my firm or I have in respect to this item, but out of an abundance of caution, I will be recusing.
Thank you.
So item 4I, award bid SP 2699 and construction contract to Excel Paving Company and RFP SP 2699-CM and construction management contract to TransTech Engineers Incorporated for the fiscal year 2024-2025 annual paving project.
Any discussion? Do you have a motion to move this item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Terosis, seconded by Councilmember Zernitskaya. Can we do I guess there's money involved.
Yeah. Councilmember Zwick,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis,
Yes.
Councilmember Snell,
Yes.
Councilmember Zernitskaya,
Yes.
and Mayor Negrete.
Yes. Councilmember Raskin, if you can hear us, you can come in. Yeah, I know.
Okay, we'll now move on to closed session. We have several items. First is a existing litigation regarding Jane Doe 1 and others versus the city and others. 5B, existing litigation, Mercia versus the city and others. Item 5C, existing litigation, Victoria Lobanov versus the city. Item 5D is public employee appointment concerning the city manager. And item 5E is conference with labor negotiators for all the bargaining units as listed on the agenda.
City Attorney, when do you think we'll be back?
City Manager, are we hearing all of the closed session together tonight, or are we splitting it up? All together? I think we can do an hour and 15 minutes.
So 7:40, yeah, 7:45. All right, well, that concludes this portion, and we will be back hopefully by 7:45. Is everyone here? Okay, City Attorney, do we have anything to report out from closed session?
Closed session today, all of the matters were heard. Nothing to report out from today. However, from a prior meeting in the Lobanoff versus City case, that was a personal injury case, it settled for $180,000. Council approved the settlement at the March 11 meeting with a vote of 7-0. That's all.
Thank you.
I will now ask if any, I'm sorry, no, it's the city manager report, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. Happy Earth Day. This morning, more than 2,500 Palisades Charter High School students, faculty, and staff reunited for their first day of in-person classes at their new temporary location in Santa Monica, dubbed Pali South, at the site of the former Sears building. And I know our mayor was there to greet everybody. It was an amazing morning. We're very happy to welcome the Pali High community to Santa Monica and hope that they are able to find some normalcy and comfort being back together after all they've been through for the past few months. A special thank you to the incredible city team that has been working around the clock to make this project happen in record time. Just so you know, it took just over 1 month from the school board's approval of the relocation plan to today, the first day of class. It's really a remarkable feat. This is the 5th fire-impacted school that will now call Santa Monica its temporary home. We are proud that our city has been able to support our neighboring communities that have been devastated by the fires. For more information about Pali South transition, there's an FAQ on the homepage of santamonica.gov. And thank you again to everyone who worked so hard on this monumental effort. On another note, in a fitting end to the Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, this weekend is full of free and fun art happenings in our city. This Saturday, April 26th, is the annual Arts and Literacy Festival at Virginia Avenue Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., followed by the new AMP, or Art Music Promenade Festival, from 12 to 7 on the 3rd Street Promenade. And then on Sunday, enjoy a day of healing through dance and poetry from 11 to 3 at the Annenberg Community Beach House. The event will feature 3 unique and incredible workshops on West African dance, poetry, and Afro-Cuban dance. As you heard in the proclamations, May is AAPI Heritage Month, and it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. There are a number of great events happening throughout the city for each, so please keep your eye on our site for more information to come. And tomorrow at 6 a.m., registration for the city's summer recreation programs open, so make sure you sign up early. Registration for non-residents opens the following week on April 30th at 6 a.m. Lastly, a reminder that the community is invited to weigh in on elements of a site design for the airport conversion project in a new community survey through this Sunday, April 27th. So please head to santamonica.gov and take the survey if you already have not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now ask if any council members have anything to report on travel since our last meeting.
So I went to Japan, to Fujinomiya, our sister city, and our next meeting you will see pictures because for whatever reason I couldn't upload them. But we were preceded by over 39 students and 6 faculty from Samo High, over a dozen sister city participants, including Councilmember Snell's wife, Kira. And we also visited Kizugawa, our friendship city, but I brought back gifts. I also have things to add to the gifts that they've given every time they've come here. It was our 50th anniversary, and some tea from their tea farms. It was our 50th anniversary. What was really great was meeting their council, seeing how their council operates, seeing how their transportation system and their city operates. I mean, between the vast amount of open land with historical sites combined with the density and 90 different ways to travel efficiently from town to town, including going what would be a 6-hour car ride in just 2 hours in a bullet train. It was phenomenal to see such an efficient system and such a clean system. You could literally eat off the floor of the subways. Again, there's a lot of culture and tradition that respects spaces. I think the reason why it works that way is as a people, they believe in doing what works best for the whole first before themselves. And so respecting spaces, including public restrooms, is something that just comes naturally to them. Seeing everything from train operators bow to the trains and subways to the deer bowing to you in the parks, quite literally, was a really awesome experience. More importantly, our Fujinomiya sister city and students. So our students had a overnight weekend where they did a host stay for 2 nights. We had a special dinner and exchanged gifts. These are students that are studying Japanese at Samo High. The opportunity to exchange not only, experiencing the food and the dance and the way their city operates, but the true culture, I think, is an experience for both youth and adults alike that is something that is extremely important. They'll be coming here in October. We'll be receiving them. Their mayor from Fujinomiya in continuous celebration is coming here, and they will be bringing exchange students. We unveiled the 5th monument that they've dedicated to us. They've built an entire park dedicated to Santa Monica. You can see Mount Fuji in the distance. There's a replica of our pier sign that's in Japanese on one side and in English on the other. There is the replica of the wave that we have, that art piece on Wilshire. And there's a few more, and I unveiled a clock, which is to celebrate the 50th year, timeless friendship. So, former Mayor Nat Travis began this relationship, and they went through a slideshow showing the history of it. But I have to say, it blew my mind, and I wasn't sure what to expect, being that it was so far out, and I didn't understand the relationship to Santa Monica. But it was a phenomenal experience, and I look forward to sharing more with my colleagues and everyone here. And I look forward to receiving them, and I hope the city, we will do. I hope we can come close to what they do for us when we visit them, and we can roll out the red carpet and really show them what it's like to visit and be a tourist in Santa Monica. So that was my long-winded experience in Japan, and I will bring back pictures next week, or next council meeting. Anybody else?
Item 6, public input on
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
yeah, one more. Councilmember Zernitskaya.
I just wanted to share that I was able to go to the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California's dedication of the Wildflower Trail at the Diamond Valley Lake Reservoir. They dedicated the Wildflower Trail in honor of Judy Abdo for her many years of service on the board. And there's some pictures, and her dog Ginger, who is actually from our local animal shelter, was able to join as well. She got special dispensation because dogs aren't actually allowed there, but it was a really lovely ceremony.
Where is that?
Thank you. On Hemet. Thank you. I think that's it for travel.
Okay. Public input on remaining agenda items only. Public comment is permitted on ordinances for introduction and first reading. No public discussion is permitted on ordinances for second reading and adoption. Public input for 12 items will be heard at the time when the public hearing is called. And we have 7 speakers on the list.
Okay, I'm going to call up the first few names. Tanya Fisher, Devon Morgan, Brad Ewing, Eli Gill, and former Mayor Gleam Davis. Ms. Fisher, you can go ahead.
Hello. Okay, it's on. Good evening, City Council, and it was great to hear your story. I'm a retired teacher from Santa Monica High School. I taught art, ceramics, and I was the head track coach for boys and girls for over 30 years. So I just retired in June, and hearing your story about going to Japan really touched my heart. I had so many students that were in that program, so I'm glad I got to hear that. I'm also the founder and president of the Janes. It's a running group here in Santa Monica. It's an all-women's running group. It started here in 2002. So now that I'm retired, I wanted to give back to the community and created an event that's called the Janes Mile. And I was here before in March just to kind of gather support, and I was grateful that Councilman Raskin will be bringing it up for discussion this evening. And I'm here just to encourage you to sponsor the event. The idea behind the event is to kind of celebrate women, to celebrate the running community, but also, since we're a nonprofit, I wanted to create something that would also raise funds for people that were affected by the fires. One of my own teammates, she lives in the Palisade and lost her home. So we really took it to heart. What could we do? Something to support, not just, her personally, but also so many people and personal friends that have lost their homes. The idea is that on May 11th, the Janes will be hosting mile races just right here in front of City Hall, and basically run down a half mile, turn around, and just come back. Celebration would be in Tomba Park.
Thank you. Yes, we do. Thank you. Devon Morgan. Brad Ewing.
Cool. Good evening, Mayor Negretti, Mayor Pro Tem Terosis, Honorable City Council. I'm Brad Ewing, here as co-chair of Santa Monica Forward, speaking in support of 10A. I'll keep it very short and sweet. So we believe that now is the time to go big and be bold, that the creation of an entertainment zone is an outstanding opportunity to bring business and life back to the promenade, create a great new space for residents to enjoy, increase our city's tax revenues, and reduce the number of vacant storefronts which currently blight DTSM. But unfortunately, as proposed, we don't think this entertainment zone ordinance goes far enough. Instead, we believe the council should direct staff to do the following. We should launch the entertainment zone as a permanent program and not as a one-year pilot. We should open the entertainment zone with regular hours, ideally on a daily basis, rather than for special events on a permit-by-permit basis, and it should be open on the weekends at a minimum. We believe that establishing the participation in the entertainment zone as by right, and we should eliminate the permitting process for the entertainment zone, and that we should propose alternative security arrangements to facilitate better security in the entertainment zone. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Eli Gill.
Good evening, everybody. Mayor Negretti, Mayor Pro Tem Terosis, and council members. I'm also here to speak on item 10A. Santa Monica has an opportunity to be a destination again. Right now, nobody comes here outside of our town for any reason in particular. There's nothing special about Santa Monica anymore. We've lost our special nature. We can create an entertainment zone that would be the envy of the rest of the city. We can be the place to go out. We can be the place where tourists want to be. And this is a great first step. So I want to encourage you guys to look at this ordinance, push back, be bold, and make sure that we really do something that is a model for other cities and we lead as opposed to follow. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And before Ms. Davis comes up, I'm just going to call up the last two names, John Prindle and Andrew Thomas.
John Prindle's donating his time to me.
Okay.
I managed to get him away from the hockey playoffs to give me an extra 2 minutes. So I sent you all an email, and I'm not going to repeat what I said in it. Good evening, Mayor and council members. But what I want to do is show you how easy this is. This is from Urbana, Ohio. This is the cup they use. You have to get your liquor in a cup. Here are the rules. Here are the hours. You have to be purchased in a Dora cup. The cup can only be used once, and there's a list of permanent establishments. Can we go to the next slide? I think there's 8 of them. There's no other slide? Yeah, there it is. Okay, this is my favorite. Know the rules. My favorite one is drink responsibly and have fun. Don't act a fool and ruin it for everyone. You can get compostable cups. Finish your drink before entering another Dora establishment. Dora stands for Designated Outdoor Refreshment Area. I think we should go with the easy Santa Monica moniker. Make Santa Monica as easy, it's fun, and it's an entertainment zone. If we can go to the next one. This is an outline of Savannah, Georgia, the green area, Savannah, Georgia. Look how large they allow open containers in. And they somehow managed to do it without a lot of negative incidents. We're talking about, at least initially, a much smaller area. And if you can scroll up a bit to Sydney, Ohio. The reason I put this slide in, again, you can see it's a multi-block area, but each of those little red things is where they put the sign, no alcohol beyond this point. We've all seen those at bars. And so you just put up the signs, if you put some trash cans so people can dispose of their cups, and people respect it. Most people aren't looking for trouble. They don't want to act a fool and ruin it for everyone. Scroll up a little bit more. This is what Lawrenceburg, I think it's in Ohio, does. You can't see it. If you scroll up a bit, you'll see the whole sign, but it says you're entering the designated outdoor refreshment area, no outside alcohol, permitted inside the DORA area, and they have a little QR code where you can pull up all the rules. This is a sign you put when you're leaving, now leaving the DORA. And if you scroll up, you'll see it says you're in the boundaries, no DORA cups permitted beyond this point. This is what you allow businesses within the recreation, the entertainment zone to do. Go back down. There, perfect. If you're selling liquor, you can put the little yellow sticker there. If you welcome people with open containers in your business establishment, you can use the green sticker. And if you don't, because some businesses might not want people with open alcohol in their business, you put the red sticker right by the door. So the businesses can regulate who goes in and out. And now you can go up. Sorry. Thank you, Nikki. And this city even went so far as to put some collateral on the ground. So DORA, no alcohol beyond this point. The reason I wanted to show you all these slides is we are not reinventing the wheel here. There are over 60 cities in Ohio and over 40 in Indiana, as well as Savannah and internationally, Sydney, Australia, Vancouver, Montreal, and Canada that are doing this. You don't even have to write regulations. Just go to the Dayton, Ohio website and steal them and change Dayton to Santa Monica. This is easy. It shouldn't be hard. And the sooner we get it up and running, the more successful it's going to be. There is a real benefit to being the first place to do this. Other cities, Pasadena, Long Beach, West Hollywood, are all exploring this. We don't want that competition. Let's get them here to Santa Monica and get them coming back. I hope you read my note. What's really important is that it be regular. If you only do it 3 times a year, you're not going to increase foot traffic on the promenade. You're not going to promote economic development. You want people not to come here once, but to come here every week. This is how you're going to do it. It's easy, it's simple, and you just got to steal from the other cities that are doing it. So anyway, thank you for your time, and I look forward to sharing a recreational beverage with you all on the entertainment zone.
Thank you. And I just want to note that former mayor actually brought this forward alongside myself and some others. So thank you for coming and laying out that fun presentation. Andrew Thomas.
Boy, I got to follow that.
Yeah.
Mayor Negrete, Mayor Pro Tem Torosis, honorable council members, city staff. On behalf of Downtown Santa Monica, Inc., I'm pleased to express our strong support for the city staff's recommendation to advance the entertainment zone pilot program as a tool to promote economic development, business, and also enrich the event experience. DTSM has been an event partner with the city of Santa Monica for many, many years, and we think this presents us with an opportunity to have even more incredible events. I'd also like to thank city staff for their partnerships and creative thinking, particularly in identifying ways for DTSM to generate revenue, to support more programming, and also identifying ways for more businesses to participate in the events. I've heard some very exciting news about potentially expanding the scope of the entertainment zone. We're wide open to that, and I look forward to having those conversations. I do have 2 concerns to share that I hope can be addressed. First, programming events is very expensive. Paying for police, fire, and public works adds to that cost. We ask that you consider allowing DTSM to provide as many services as possible through our contracted personnel, which we often do for events today. And second, it is crucial that we achieve a critical mass of participation in order for the entertainment zone to succeed. We encourage the city to continue exploring flexible, streamlined processes so we can allow Santa Monica businesses that may not have a footprint in the promenade to participate in our events. Thank you for your consideration of this important initiative, and we look forward to seeing this move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And last I have Jonathan Foster.
I'm so sorry. I actually put in a late shit. Thank you. I wasn't trying to be last, actually. And I'm going to be going fast because I've got a few things to say. You've heard that sentence that some people say, we had a party and we trashed the place, trash Monica. So I'm commenting without hearing the target language, and I've heard some from the past mayor. Thank you for that. And it seems like the beer industry is really trying to be deliberate, and alcohol industry wants people to be able to get drunk if they want to. And I always wonder, why does economic recovery have to always involve drugs? Why does that economic recovery has to always involve drug sale? Why? You know there will be plenty of cigarettes, vaping, and pot. You get the adult child pacifiers with those vaping. It's like a pacifier for the adult. And this just supports all the drug use, real high on the streets of Santa Monica. And this is wrong from Sacramento, too. It's wrong from Sacramento, what Sacramento's doing. This is 27 emails from about the same person. One email cites children. Another one talks about tourists. Another email says we can't turn the promenade into a bar. One death related to this, how much profit will be made by anyone? We're all broke. All billionaires are broke. So the increased demand on the city, it can't meet it today. Police, fire, trash, water, noise, traffic, degradation of the superficial appearance. So what's the long-term message is family returns is better versus the partiers return, right? And this is what the Civic Center is supposed to be about, or you should build a Hollywood Bowl, call it the Santa Monica.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment.
Item 10, ordinances. Public comment is permitted on ordinances for introduction and first reading. No public discussion is permitted on ordinances for second reading and adoption. In accordance with Charter Section 615, the adoption of all ordinances and resolutions shall be by reading of title only unless a council member present dissents. Item 10A, introduction and adoption of an emergency ordinance adding Chapter 6.43 and amending Section 4.08.200 relating to the 3rd Street Promenade Entertainment Zone Pilot Program. This is it? That's what I got. Okay. Oh, you need your mic.
No, is the mic on? Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Council. We're very excited to be here tonight to launch the Promenade Entertainment Zone program. I know that it's had a lot of anticipation. This is pursuant to Council's prior direction from the fall. This is a continuation of many of the economic recovery changes for the Promenade. And, you know, really within the spirit of creativity and flexibility. And planning staff have worked very closely, both with internal city departments, key ones like police and fire and public works, and also external partners like DTSM to put together the proposal tonight. And really, I think we want to point out that this is very much, we're looking at this as a starting point. For conversation with the council. We really do want to hear from you. We know there's interest not just from the promenade, but we had heard from other commercial districts in the city, you know, who have a high interest in this program as well. We were working within council's direction to look at specifically for the promenade. So that's why it's, you know, really just on the geography of the promenade. But we're very much looking forward to hearing the kinds of activations that you want to see within the entertainment zone, and so that we can best focus our efforts to achieving council's goals in this. The ordinance itself is actually quite simple. You know, it's really just establishing the zone, boundaries, maximum hours, the type of alcohol, and non-glass containers. That's it. The rest of the details are in a management plan with details to come later. However, we're very much aware of the many public comments about the desire for more regular activation, and just wanted to share with you that whatever information, direction we receive, all of it is possible. You know, there's not like the state law is not that restrictive, you know, in that sense. So, you know, we're very much looking forward, again, you know, to hear from council, you know, hearing the public comment on this item, and then coming back to you with a program that meets council's goals and direction. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to James to walk you through the program proposal. James?
Good evening, Council. Let's start by discussing Senate Bill 969 as a state law that went into effect in January and allows for the creation of entertainment zones where restaurants and bars licensed by ABC can sell alcoholic beverages to go for consumption on the public right-of-way within designated zones. The bill is a statewide expansion of a law which was allowed San Francisco to operate an entertainment zone in 2024. Goals of the entertainment zone are to create a fun and safe experience, drawing local visitors to downtown, increasing its visibility as a vibrant destination, boosting spending on the promenade. In 2024, San Francisco's entertainment zone hosted an Oktoberfest and a Halloween event on a one-block stretch of Front Street in the city's downtown. During one event, restaurants reported increased revenues of 700 to 1,500%. In speaking with the team behind San Francisco's successful entertainment zone, we learned key lessons informing staff's proposal, but which need not necessarily be adopted by council as we create our own. Adaptability is crucial. By limiting the ordinance to the elements required in the state law and establishing operating guidelines through an administrative management plan, the entertainment zone is allowing greater flexibility to facilitate activations and address issues and opportunities as they arise between events. Community partnerships are vital. Collaboration with and ensuring adequate resources for event operators, local businesses, and community organizations is key to hosting successful activations. Event programming drives success. San Francisco's model relied on an event-based operation, which found that the success of an entertainment zone relied on appropriate programming with interactive activities such as live music, performances, art, and games. Streamlined review is essential. Removing administrative barriers and simplifying the approval process for hosting an event reduces logistical challenges to organizing events and encouraging greater participation from both local businesses and the community while reducing staff time to review. These are lessons learned which informed staff's draft proposal, but as mentioned again, by no means are we limited to how San Francisco operated their entertainment zone. Per state law, as Jing mentioned, per state law, the ordinance to establish the entertainment zone is required to address 4 specific details: the geographic boundaries, the hours of operation, the types of alcohol that will be allowed to be sold, and the prohibition of the use of metal and glass containers. In addition to the state law's requirements, the local ordinance amends the city's existing code regarding the drinking in public, providing an exception within an entertainment zone. The draft ordinance establishes the entirety of the promenade from Wilshire Boulevard to Broadway as an entertainment zone. Proposed operating hours of 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. parallel the hours of the administrative alcohol exemptions that are applicable to businesses on the promenade. A management plan can further limit the hours of operation depending upon the nature or needs of an event, but an expansion of those hours would require modification of the ordinance. The proposed ordinance places no restrictions on types of alcohol to be served. However, a business may only serve those types of alcohol allowed under their ABC license. If a restaurant is limited to sale of beer and wine, for example, they would not be able to serve cocktails to go. The final state requirement for the ordinance is a prohibition on glass and metal containers for to-go service within the entertainment zone. Beyond the state law requirements, the existing municipal code generally prohibits open containers of alcohol or consumption of alcohol in public. An exemption has been written for entertainment zones during permitted hours of activation. With the ordinance providing a broad operational structure, the comprehensive management plan will serve as the operational document and will be created by an interdepartmental team informed by the council's direction tonight. Depending on the type of activation, a management plan may include some or all of the following: safety and security protocols, such as a minimum policing and fire department staffing for events; sanitation measures such as porta potties, trash receptacles, and ensuring that zero waste policies are followed; process and thresholds for street closures; details of the approved to-go container type; age verification methods such as using wristbands. The management plan will also provide the allowed frequency of activations and further refinement of hours of operation, either for specific events, days of the week, or for seasons. As recommended by the police chief, the proposal is a 1-year pilot program to give the city the opportunity to evaluate the continuance of this program. The entertainment zone pilot program is planned to have at least three events during the pilot year, but shall not be limited to 3. We could have 4, we could have 5. It's going to depend upon how it works with everyone. The first event is anticipated to be DTSM's annual Pride on the Promenade, scheduled for June 21st. Upon conclusion of the pilot, staff will report back to council with recommendations and any necessary adjustments for future entertainment zones. For illustrative purposes, this flow chart represents the complexity of the existing community event process for which events may need to undertake while permitting an event. Staff is reviewing how the event process on the promenade and across the city can be streamlined to encourage events.
A board game.
We have already discussed streamlining opportunities with other departments and received tentative buy-off from some efficiencies, including pre-approved operations, security, and site plans for reoccurring events to reduce both staff time, reviewing the time for event organizers to create and potentially respond to potentially respond to corrections of comments by city departments. Investigating potential for self-certification of certain temporary building permits, such as stages and kiosks. Reviewing documents of repeat organizers annually instead of along with each proposed event. Pre-event coordination meetings in the field to ensure directives are understood and cross-departmental requirements are in sync. Eliminating the strict limitations on branding and signage will allow for sponsorship opportunities to enhance revenue and offset the substantial costs associated with operating a programmed event. Conversations on this topic will continue, and staff is committed to searching for additional methods to streamline the community event process. Now we have policy questions for council. Is the city council interested in directing staff to continue developing a streamlined pilot entertainment zone permit process that may include a self-certification component and that relies on standardized plans where applicable but does not compromise public safety requirements? Staff is also interested in hearing from city council on any other implementation or suggestions for this program. Recommended action this evening is to adopt a finding of categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15301 of the CEQA guidelines, introduce and adopt an emergency ordinance adding Chapter 6.43 and amending Section 4.08.200 on the Santa Monica Municipal Code relating to the entertainment zone pilot program to promote economic recovery. We are available for your questions and to hear any additional direction from limitation. The representatives of police are available as well if you have additional questions for them. Again, we are very excited for this program and look forward to your input.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff, for this report. I am so grateful that we have the opportunity to discuss this finally. I see this as a linchpin in our economic opportunity and growth strategy and priority. I feel what is proposed and how the staff report frames how an entertainment zone will work by being event-based really misses the mark, though. And as our interim city manager knows, I felt that way long before we were lobbied by the public this week. It would be my preference, and if council agrees, direction, that this should be a permanent thing, as some of our public commenters remarked tonight, where we do this every weekend and federal holidays with set hours so that folks know I can go to the promenade and have an outdoor beverage and go from bar to bar and
Wait, Councilmember Hall, sorry, we're going to do questions, but that's
Sorry.
I know we probably all agree, but you can make that a question and just go.
I was very excited, obviously. Okay, well, I can defer.
Okay, yeah. Do you have any questions, though?
I don't have any questions, no.
Okay. Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Trosas.
Thank you so much. I wanted to know, I think we're trying to do this as an economic development generator, correct? So I was a little bit confused. Why isn't there any sort of discussion about additional visitors, additional sales tax, additional business engagement, that like baseline, and then expectation to generate? Like, I think we have to begin with the end in mind, right? So like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And I guess this is more of an editorial, but have we put any thought to metrics that we could use to demonstrate success? Yeah, we started to have some of those discussions largely with DTSM, given the scope of this on the promenade and how to measure success, and just thinking through and also talking to the Downtown San Francisco Partnership of how they measured their program as well. And I think what we heard was sort of like surveys, like talking to the businesses that participated, or even those that didn't, but were sort of, within the zone itself, like what did you see? How did it go? Did you notice like more foot traffic, more sales? You heard James, refer to the metric that the Downtown San Francisco experienced, where they experienced, between 700 to 1,500% increase in revenue. I think those are the things that we would be looking for the businesses that are within the zone, to provide that feedback on. And DTSM itself can, they're able to measure sort of like foot traffic. They have a good sense, I think, of, especially if it's events-based. But I think, we were just starting to think through, I think, those sorts of metrics on how to measure that success, in addition to kind of other ways, to measure the other side of it in terms of impact on city services.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to do both. I would encourage us to really set a few key performance indicators here. And I think you're going to hear some feedback on the number/type of entertainment zone. But I would say if we're trying to drive economic activity, do we think that 3 events in a year is really going to accomplish that?
Yeah, and again, for clarity, 3 was a floor. It's not a ceiling.
I understand.
It's a minimum. And the definitely open to hearing, the sort of activations, the expanse of it. The event-based part, probably just came from the one pilot in California, what San Francisco's experience was. But of course, we are not at all limited to that. The law doesn't limit us to that. It can absolutely be a more regular activation. There is the opportunity to do that.
And is DTSM or the city, and I don't know if you guys have talked about who would do what, prepared to offer marketing incentives or technical assistance to bring businesses to participate? And if so, back to this really complicated flow chart that we just saw, if we care about equity and we care about ensuring that our smallest businesses who don't have an expediter are able to do this, how are we ensuring that, especially if we want to do something around cultural relevancy, like how are we offering technical assistance and actually like marketing this to businesses, or we haven't thought that through?
I think that's sort of in the details of the program to come. Although the discussions have been with DTSM, I want to recognize that, anybody, any event organizer could put on an event. It wouldn't solely be on DTSM. It could be any event organizer that's able to, produce the logistics, the budget for that. And I think a really important aspect of this is in this program, it includes a suspension essentially of like the sign ordinance. It's exempt from that. And we wanted to, again, provide the flexibility to create sponsorships. A question I think that DTSM raised in public comment, was about the opportunity to have like pop-up activations in vacant storefronts. We did explore that with ABC. It's possible to do that. The only limitation in the state law is that you have to be a licensed business to dispense alcohol, and as long as you get whatever that appropriate license is, whether it's a catering permit, an event permit, what have you, it's possible to do that. We're following up with, is it possible to do like a beer garden, a sort of standalone activation? Like we just want to be able to look at all of those things, but it appears, in our early explorations that it is possible. And, that's another aspect of kind of finding, the budget to do this, because of course the city is in the financial position it's in. We're not in a position like the city and county of San Francisco was able to give about $400,000 in seed money, for that up there. We're not in that position to do that here. So it's very much in finding all of the different ways to give event organizers the opportunity to generate that revenue, to put on an event or to, do a more regular activation. So
I would absolutely ask that we more deeply explore the sponsorship opportunities. I think we need to be very creative about bringing in revenue to the city, and I was a little disappointed that we didn't see more of that being fleshed out. So what assumptions underlied staff's recommendation that we just focus on the 1200 block and not expand to the 1300 and 1400 block?
It's not limited to the 1200 block. The entertainment zone proposal is for the entire 3rd Street Promenade. There has been prior council direction to focus on the 1200 block generally, right? But the program itself isn't just focused on there. It was just, I'm not sure where, maybe there was a misunderstanding regarding that, but it's
I think
really
there was a
covered
recommendation that the first activation be in the 1200 block.
That was something that was in partnership with DTSM. That was a suggestion,
Okay.
given there's obviously bigger vacant tenant spaces there compared to the other parts of the promenade. And so, there was thought there might be more opportunity there for an activation, but it's not limited only to that. And certainly depending on the regularity of the activation, right? This can be on a much smaller scale as well and much lower cost. I think getting to your question about a lower barrier to entry.
Yep.
There's definitely the possibility to do that too, where you don't even have to get an event permit. It can be something extremely simple, that just allows one business, to partake.
Okay, and on the safety and security protocols, would be my last question. It appeared in the staff report, although we didn't hear from them tonight, that the police department alluded to operational constraints. How are those being balanced against our really clear council direction for economic revitalization? And are we proactively identifying additional approaches to making sure that the promenade's safe?
Yeah, we have Lieutenant Gradle from the police department here tonight who can address any sort of your public safety questions. But we have been working with the police department on developing this program. And I think one of the things that we've been exploring is there is private security on the promenade, the opportunities for that. I don't want to speak on behalf of PD, but that's definitely been something that has been a topic of discussion, is the opportunities for doing that.
And would DTSM support that approach?
I think there is interest.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's been part of the
I don't know
discussion.
if the police department wanted to say anything on their opinions. Okay. Thanks. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Snell?
Councilman Tarosa took a lot of my questions already. Very good, but I'm excited about this also with respect to the safety issue and also just from traffic control. I mean, I know from your report, you just said that we weren't limited to the 1200 block, that we would look at expanding it, and based on the times, we'll talk about that a little bit different. But have you talked with the police about traffic control and how that would be handled if we actually expanded the entertainment zone for all 3 blocks during that period of time? Has there been discussion with respect to that?
Yeah, absolutely. There has been. I think that if it's again, it kind of depends on the kind of activation. I think some of the feedback we got is that if it was a larger event, there might be interest in closing an east-west street, maybe, just for safety and pedestrian flow. So that was part of the discussion of this, sort of multi-block or an entire promenade event. It may be safer to do that, versus again something smaller scale, where it's a regular activation where businesses, you can just go buy a beer and just go sit and have it, right? You don't need to do that, because how is that different than what the sort of environment that we have now? So that's been the expanse of the discussions we've had.
Okay, and then with respect to working with the businesses, the type of alcohol that have you talked about that also? I mean, I'd like to be able to open it up to all types of alcohol, not just beer. But have you talked about that a little bit?
Yeah, the only limitation in state law is that you're limited to the license that you can serve. So if you have a beer and wine license, you cannot then go serve spirits.
Okay.
But if you have the full license, then you can do all of it. So that's the only limitation on types of alcohol. And it appears there is a pathway for example, if you had a purveyor of alcohol, that wanted to come and offer a temporary pop-up tasting or something like that, it appears that would also be possible.
And with this, would we have to limit those areas for those individuals that were minors, or how would we go about? I mean, some people would use wristbands or those kind of things. Is that?
Yeah, the law. Yeah, in San Francisco, they used wristbands. The law requires basically that a procedure be identified, be created to identify people who are 21 and over. So that's typically we're all familiar. You come in, you get your wristband or a stamp or something of that nature. San Francisco went further and did a branded cup, but it was sort of more of a curated event experience, so it was kind of all worked together with all of the wristbands, the cups, all that sort of thing, signage. So it can definitely run the gamut. There's no hard and fast rule about how you do that.
Okay, thank you.
We're still in questions. Just a reminder, Councilmember Zwick.
Hi, thank you. Like my colleagues, excited to be moving forward with this. A few quick questions, just following up on some things. When it comes to what I think Andrew and DTSM spoke to, I think what I hear is that, you know, there's a limited number of establishments currently on the promenade that maybe would very easily be able to do this or want to do this, but there are a lot of potential other people that, you know, whether they're other downtown businesses or otherwise, that maybe it would be a great thing they might want to participate, or it might be better, it might better activate the zone if we were able to allow them to. And what I'm trying to understand is, I hear that under the law, it seems that there's a lot of flexibility for another business, so long as it's permitted to serve alcohol generally, to participate in some way. But how are we as a city going to make that a very easy process for them? Because obviously if they have to get like a building permit or something, you know, to set up something, that's not going to be that kind of process. So do we have a process we've envisioned for this that's different than, say, you know, some of the other permitting processes that we generally countenance for things like businesses setting up in a new location or something? And
I mean, I think this conversation around like pop-up activations on the promenade is definitely not new. And we are, as part of just the overall, like just even outside of this overall permit streamlining, process reengineering, that's an area that, you know, we receive your direction, we would absolutely look at, and how we can make that process easier. I imagine, we haven't talked with our building and safety department about this yet, but, you know, you put some tables and chairs, you know, like if you're not building anything,
right,
you know, why wouldn't that be possible? I think these are the sorts of things that, you know, we would need a moment to explore on how we make that as easy as possible, if that was of interest.
yeah, it seems to me really important, just, you know, because there are a limited number of alcohol serving establishments there now. We hope that maybe more will come and the district would grow, but for now, I think we really would need it to be very, very flexible and easy for say, Brewworks or something to set something up and be able to do that without it being a months-long process or something like that. When it comes to the cost, because I know that's another concern for any potential event organizer, be it DTSM or a third party. I know they recently did, you know, something around Easter that was very successful, but the costs were, you know, upwards of $50,000, and a lot of that wasn't actually the costs that are sort of alluded to in this report related to police and fire and RRR and any other additional staff time overtime that maybe would be charged to the event organizer. And I mean, was there an attempt to tally what the level of cost we're asking organizers to pay to put on such an event? Because I didn't see any numbers.
You know, we most of our discussions were with DTSM with respect to events. They have a lot of experience with putting events on the promenade, and you know, we were just trying to get a sense of budget and that sort of thing, you know, from them. But the range of events can be quite wide, you know, from a sort of one-day selfie station to something like Easter or Pride.
Yeah. Well, I just saw, like, for instance, the report mentioned, I guess, the idea that there would be 4 cops per block, and I was like, well, how much would that cost? And I mean, I can quickly, you know, I quickly sort of found out it's $241 roughly per cop. If it was an 8-hour event and if 3 blocks were activated, that's a price tag of nearly $24,000 just for that one city department alone. And I guess I had some questions for police that CDD got back to me right away, but I wrote a lot of questions for police and I never heard from them. So maybe I could take the opportunity to ask them now.
Mayor, Council,
Hi.
Ryan Gradle, Lieutenant Santa Monica. I oversee a downtown services unit. I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. So
thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll take them and go back and
thank you. Yeah, I have supplied them in advance, so the hope that I wouldn't have to put anyone on the spot. But first of all, just getting my bearings. SMPD, we have a substation on the promenade now, right?
No.
We do not?
There has not been a police substation on the promenade in almost 10 years.
So what do we have?
There's a kiosk that's staffed by public service officers, not police officers.
And that's all we have there now?
Correct.
And do we have foot patrols on the 3rd Street Promenade?
Not officially, no. We used to have just the 3rd Street Promenade was dedicated bike patrol. About 10 years ago, they shifted to the downtown services model, which is Lincoln Boulevard, west to Ocean Avenue, Wilshire, south to Colorado. Those officers, it's 3 sergeants, 16 officers, patrol that entire box and handle all the radio calls in there. So when they are out on foot, it's not like it was 20 years ago, where they were just dedicated to the 3rd Street Promenade. They're in charge of the entire downtown footprint now. So we do staff overtime details on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2 officers during the day, 4 officers plus a sergeant at night. They're to split their time between the promenade and some of the other downtown footprint. Like, we've got a lot more establishments on 2nd Street, the 100 block of Arizona, Santa Monica. There's a lot more activity in those areas now than there used to be. They also split their time on Main Street, given what their detail is, if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. And then, so when there was the event recently, I guess there was an event a few weeks ago on Easter that had a lot of people. Was part of that event like a detailing of additional officers, overtime officers?
That I'm not aware of. I couldn't answer that. I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay, yeah, it's my impression. I think that it was just handled by the private security that DTSM normally
I
handles.
didn't see any email come out hiring for that event.
And for that reason, I guess my bigger question was sort of like trying to understand, what the basis was for the rationale to say that, there would be a requirement for an additional 4 officers per block for any sort of event like this.
So I spoke with our planning sergeants who put together all of our events, like when we used to host the marathon or when we've had events on the pier, things of that nature, and asked where that number came from. And based on the loose information of, well, are we doing the 1200 block? Are we doing this? What are we doing? They put out, well, if we had, depending on the amount of people, whatever the event was, 4 plus a supervisor would be reasonable. And the example I would use is back when we used to have the marathon and we would have the beer garden at, 2nd and Santa Monica across the street from the King's Head. The rationale to that, and again, I'm speaking for what I believe the planning sergeant was talking about. Rationale for that is you have a large space with ingress and egress, and 4 officers is basically 2 officer teams. So 2 would be at one point, 2 would be on the other side of the event with a supervisor floating in between. That's what I'm assuming he's basing that on, but without having a hard parameter of what we're looking at, I think that's where that number came from.
Okay. I believe that's it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I think that is it for my questions right now. So thank you.
Did you have questions? Councilmember Zernitskaya.
Yes, so I just had hopefully a few quick questions. So the first one is there anything in the in SB, I think it's 969, that prevents us from allowing open containers and consumption of alcohol in approved disposable containers during specified entertainment zone hours rather than having to do event specific? Okay, no. So we can just have hours that it's allowed. Okay, cool. Yep. And of course, that's when my screen decides to go dark. So this ordinance is proposed as a pilot program rather than a permanent program, I guess, as some public commenters have noted. Could you please clarify kind of why we would potentially want to do this as a pilot program versus just enacting an ordinance and starting entertainment zones? Is there a benefit to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely a policy decision of the council. The recommendation of a pilot was from the police chief, who recommended that this be a 1-year pilot as an opportunity to evaluate, how it's going. Just depending on whether it's events or something else. I think that was the desire for it, but certainly that's a policy decision of the council. If you'd like it to just be permanent right off the bat, we can certainly make that happen.
So we could hypothetically make it a quote unquote permanent, and then just provide direction to come back in a year and evaluate.
Absolutely, yeah. The law itself requires a reporting back every 2 years, but there's nothing to prevent the city from reporting back earlier than that.
Okay.
Certainly making adjustments, as necessary. So.
Okay, and a lot of my other questions were already asked, but one final one, and maybe this is a fun one. could we do like a standard branded compostable cup and maybe promote the creation of the entertainment zone with a design contest or something for the cup? Because that might get some excitement going and maybe get some of the more creative folks in our community engaged with us.
I think certainly we can look at that. You know, we want to make sure that it's a process that's easy as possible, doesn't run into our public purchasing guidelines. Or like we just try to think of the easiest possible and not create like an outsized, you know, thing out of it. But yes, absolutely, we can consider that.
I just mean for like the design part. I think like ordering from appropriate vendors and everything would be, you know, up to our appropriate purchasing process. So that was all my questions. Thank you.
I have a question. Two questions. Back on the fees, I have personal experience with the cost of having a fire marshal and police fees, but part of those fees double, if not almost triple, because the city tax on fees to that, right? Like, so when we require the additional police officers or a fire marshal, it's not just the fee that's going to that department. The city also recoups or rather charges fees on top of that, correct?
You mean just in terms of the permit, is that right?
Yeah, so for example, in the example that Councilmember Zwick was using, where 8 police officers would be prescribed to that event.
Overtime rate.
Right, but then it's actually more expensive because the city adds on additional fees for events. I mean, they do that with the fire marshals as well. Like, it ends up being that exorbitant amount of money, not just because of that department's fees, but because the city also adds on fees.
I mean, I don't have all of the details on it, but that is what we have heard from not just DTSM, but other event organizers, that it's a...
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a rhetorical question, because my point being that have we looked at you know, level setting and, you know, whether it's a nonprofit and just making it super clear, you know, if you're, you know, 1, 2, and 3, just the same way we do with other types of event spaces, but making it really clear and looking at as a way to, and maybe just the only thing that would possibly be piloted is some of these other things, but as a way to kick it off is making the entry of it for a certain amount of time more affordable so that people can actually participate. Most recently in the Promenade, there's an example of a smaller business who wanted to do something, and just those fees of having the fire marshal was so expensive that it prohibited them from doing it. Had they just had to pay the actual fire marshal, it was affordable. But if you know, we often waive fees for the usage of the pier. So I just don't know if you guys had considered looking at that fee structure.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think just this whole conversation is very timely because we just launched the ED task force. The
we had our first meeting today.
Right, yeah. You know, and there's staff teams as well that are working like on special events, permitting, and the like. And this has been a topic of conversation in terms of, you know, kinds of events, fee structures, you know, do we have like reduced fees? So we want to receive that input on it. I think specific to the entertainment zone, we've definitely been taking a look at, as you saw in the presentation, streamlining, standardization. You know, can we do sort of like just one review for a recurring event? Why do we have to do this every single time? And I think I'm pleased to say, you know, that we have that conceptual agreement from some of these key reviewing departments, you know, to really be serious in taking a look at streamlining and a willingness to be able to do that. So, you know, if we're able to get to that point with some of these like smaller scale events, you know, that might lower that barrier to entry for some of these businesses that want to do sort of a small, you know, activation that right now, as you saw, it's a highly complex process that applies to every event, you know, regardless of what it is.
Well, I hope we'll look at the city fees and how that creates a roadblock is my point, because that was the point of that question. And then also, have you looked at removing, and I didn't see it in the staff report, you know, there's been businesses on the Promenade that if they have a special event, even within their business, and they put it on, I'm totally forgetting the name, but the Eventbrite, for example, where you have to get a ticket, there were certain businesses that were dinged because that was not allowed. So I just want to make sure that we're opening it up. Eventbrite is free often for the ticket. It's just a way of them managing, you know, an RSVP system. But there was a place on the Promenade that has been dinged for that. They weren't allowed to have anyone line up. They weren't allowed to have tickets, whether they're at $0 or have a fee. So I just hope that we're making sure we make space to allow for some verbiage that says you are allowed to do that, because that is the way that businesses often get an RSVP head count. And it's also a marketing tool to push out to people if they're checking on Eventbrite or LA Bucket List, like where to go. And then lastly, I think Councilmember Zernitska asked about the modifications. Like, even if we made it permanent, it doesn't stop us from coming back and ever modifying an ordinance, correct?
Yep, we modify ordinances a lot. So.
And I agree about the allowing people to come up. I just ChatGPT'd some alternatives to DORA. One was Rabbi, which I thought was interesting. Recreational area for beverages and interaction. So I'm just saying, the options are endless.
Sounds better.
Now we're going to go into discussion and some direction. So, Councilmember Hall.
All right, thank you. I will climb back on my soapbox here. Sorry about earlier. So as I was saying, I'm definitely open and would love to see this be permanent in every weekend and federal holidays with set hours. I think Friday afternoons should be included. All weekend long should be included. If a federal holiday is a Monday, we should extend Sunday into 2 a.m. and we should include Monday as well. And as I think Councilmember Zernitskaya and Mayor Negretti said, I don't think this should be a pilot. This is a two-way door. We can always walk back what doesn't work well. We should be willing to go to be bold and experiment here. We'll be the first to do this in Southern California. I think when speaking to like the event-based activations, if we're not going to do a permanent one, that process map, as you alluded to, is really unacceptable. We absolutely have to fix that. Whether that's through self-certification, annual insurance checks versus event-based insurance checks. I think it would be two very easy things we could look at. I'm open to unarmed private security for events, but I'm very opposed to armed private security. I think that needs to stay within the realm of our police department and trained professionals. I'm very, again, on the events, very open to allowing pop-ups to participate, open to eliminating limitations on branding for sponsorship. I'm very interested in how the Dayton downtown outdoor refreshment area model worked in Ohio. But largely, I think the most important thing for me is that, this should be a permanent thing. People should just know that they can come to the promenade and have this experience. And that permanence provides not just a better customer experience, but a better business environment and permanence and a sense of security for event producers and businesses, that they know that they're going to have this opportunity for years to come and that it's not going to get shut down in a year. So I think if we are going to relook at, let's go big here and maybe shorten when we revisit it and see if we need to make any changes. So 6 months from now, or 6 months after the first implementation, let's say, okay, are there any tweaks we need to make after the last 6 months of experimenting, and then make those changes versus saying it's going to end at a year unless council, provides direction to continue it. So that concludes my remarks.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis.
Thanks so much. So I just want to start by saying I'm very supportive of what you all have been working on, what you brought forward. I want an entertainment zone on the promenade. But what we saw tonight is just simply not bold enough. I think you've heard those comments to match the moment or meet the economic challenges that we're facing. And I think you've heard that unilaterally from this council that we absolutely have to think big with respect to economic revitalization. Let's be honest, a 3-time-a-year entertainment zone tied to permanent events is not, to me, an entertainment zone. It's a special event permit with a cup. And, I've experienced myself, I've walked around Savannah. It's not a special event. It is an area where people are out in the street having fun, celebrating. It's attracting people from all over the country. And I think that the whole idea behind SB 969 is to drive recurring visitation to our downtown core. But they would have to look on Eventbrite or find a Facebook event to figure out that it was an entertainment zone weekend if we stick with this special event model. So I would say that that's a recipe for failure as far as I'm concerned, and I'm absolutely, again, supportive of the entertainment zone, but I do want to make it permanent, with some sort of assurances for our partners and our businesses that this will be available to them. Because right now we're proposing a version that would leave the promenade just as it is the other 362 days a year. I think that the promenade should be a place that we want to go every weekend. I think that we want to build something consistent. We want to set the expectation that every single Friday through Sunday and on holiday weekends, people can come to the promenade and experience this. And I think that's how you build foot traffic. That's how you build momentum. When we first brought this forward, just point of order, my timer is going on Dan's. Okay, okay, no worries.
4:59, 4:58.
Yeah, no, I know, it's stressing me out. When we first brought this forward last year, I was imagining a rotating beer garden, activating vacant storefronts, live DJs, wine tastings, pop-up retail, sports watch parties. And I think all of that's possible. I would really, really encourage us to work with DTSM and whatever other partners want to come to the table to charge for vendor booths or set up some sort of sponsorship program so that we can also think about generating revenue to offset the costs. And I also think we need to leverage our digital kiosks, and we can make sure that we're, advertising the different activations on the kiosks. And if we want to bring our tourists and regional visitors back downtown, I think we need to make it worth their while. We want to encourage businesses to stay open later. We want to create more jobs, more revenue. So I'm asking us to be bold. I think that I would, when it's appropriate, want to propose some changes to the draft ordinance that we saw. And I also think, in case it wasn't clear, that it needs to be the entire promenade, not just starting with the 1200 block. So let's not settle for small thinking. Let's be bold.
Councilmember Zwick.
So like my colleagues, I agree that, it seems like there's a couple different versions of what this could be. And I think what I'm hearing and what I would second is that it can be all of these things. There can be, first of all, it can be permanent. We can always revisit it later. Second of all, we can have regular hours that we set and have events. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. I think we actually need both for different reasons. I think we need regular hours so that there's a consistency that people speak of. There's the expectation that it's happening on a regular basis. And there's the expectation from businesses that this is a place that they could potentially invest in and reap the rewards from in terms of creating a real a zone like whether it be 6th Street in Austin or Beale Street in Memphis or so many other places that we would be lucky to kind of, emulate in that way. I think, there was a lot of talk, and I understand that San Francisco is the only entity that has currently implemented this ordinance in California, so it makes sense that we spoke to them. But I did, Google around, and up popped a headline just from last week that said, from the San Francisco Chronicle, that said businesses and community leaders say that San Francisco's bureaucracy is making it difficult to host special events because of onerous fees and time-consuming permitting processes, specifically in relation to expanding their entertainment zones. So while I think that, I really appreciate that we mapped out, the process that we have now. And I appreciate that, it just was an effort to even map it out, and seeing it is important in the first step. And I know that no one here created it; you're just mapping it. But I do think that, as people have said tonight, by limiting it to those events, I think you are in some ways making it. No matter how much we streamline it, we are going to be making it prohibitive for a lot of different kinds of events. And what I think I've heard from DTSM and others is that these events cost money just to throw, absent any requirements that we place on them as a city. Obviously, they're paying for entertainment, for performers, for infrastructure like a stage or other things that they might need to make this a really lively event. And I think I heard that Easter was roughly $50,000 or something for DTSM to put on, and Easter didn't include any of the add-ons that were contemplated in this report, like the 4 officers per block. My understanding as to why they're looking at just the 1200 block in part is because that's only 4 officers as opposed to 8 or 12 if they were to go bigger. And they just, in order to make this something that I think DTSM or other event organizers could imagine doing more often, the cost has to actually be sustainable. for them to actually do it. And I think that has to do with a combination of making it easy to allow vendors to participate and perhaps contribute to event costs, but also making sure that the costs are reasonable that we're imposing from the city side. I think, when I did my back of the envelope calculation, when it came to the suggestions around police, fire, RRR, and those are just the three that were mentioned, I think there probably would be others. That was looking like an additional $30,000 potentially that we were saying for for an event that, already like DTSM didn't pay for cops, for police officers for their Easter event, and they spent close to 50. So I think we just have to be really careful when it comes to what we're asking for. If we do want this to have regular activations related to all this type of events that we could imagine, we need there to be a sustainable model that isn't about outlaying the entire event budget for DTSM on a single one. As far as I can tell from pursuing, perusing the literature, I don't see any evidence that entertainment zones are in any way less safe than any other sort of event that we might have. And I see some evidence that this type of concept might be, in fact, more safe because we're actually theoretically activating a space and bringing more people down in this way. So personally, while I understand that if we have large events, there will be certain requirements that the city wants to see in terms of plans to ensure safety, be it fire safety or otherwise, I do really want to think of it in terms of like performance and it being like either the city offering a service or the, whether it be DTSM or a third party being able to meet whatever standards we have in other ways that might be more cost effective. So I personally would say, and I would ask the council to weigh in on this as well, that we don't impose a strict requirement that all of these events be staffed with public safety overtime, as opposed to just saying that if it's a large enough event, there are certain requirements we have to ensure safety, and there could be multiple pathways to proving to the city that they're going to achieve that level of safety. And when it comes to the regular operation of the zone that aren't large events, I don't see the need to have to do additional spending in that way if it isn't a large event in any sense. I would like to see more foot patrols on the promenade, but that said, I know we have our Legion, or the DTSM has the Legion officers that they use currently, and I know that they've supplemented with additional staff when they do events, and I think that those have gone well. So that's my additional direction, and excited to, I agree that it's great that we're going to do a lot of this administratively, and I look forward to sort of, the ordinance, as you said, is somewhat simple, so while it can come back, I think it's more about in the details of how we implement this, and I do look forward to sort of seeing that process unfold along these lines in the way that we're describing it tonight. So thank you.
Councilmember Raskin.
Thank you very much to the team for your hard work on this. I know this has taken a lot of work to get us here, and appreciate the diligence and the receptiveness to taking this further. I agree with my colleagues that we should be as ambitious as possible in the implementation here. I agree with what's been said. What I'll add is that I don't think we should do this now, but if this is working well, I'd like to see how we can maybe bring in the parts of Santa Monica Boulevard between 2nd and 4th, because there's some bars and restaurants there that I think could participate in this in a really effective way, like Misfit, Britannia, and obviously that adds additional operational constraints and concerns, like there, the alleyways there that I think could, we'll have to figure it out. But if my other council members agree, I'd like to see how we can expand this in the future.
Well, I'm super excited to see this come forward, and I think given our financial situation, we are talking a lot about generating revenue and ways. Our top 3 priorities address economic recovery, public safety, and our unhoused population, and I think people may not see it on its face, but this really does address all of those things. When you activate a space, it makes it safer because we have more eyes on that space. Generally, folks who are doing nefarious activity want to do it, where people aren't around. Obviously, it generates opportunities for our businesses and opportunities for folks to come and spend and play in our city, addressing our top 3 priorities. So I think, activating the dormant spaces takes care of a lot of those things. I think continuity, as we mentioned up here, creates the buildup. So having those set times is really important. And it also provides calendaring opportunities for businesses who want to be able to project into the future, what they'll be doing seasonally. As someone who's done events, I think that's really key if they know exactly what they're getting into and they can budget for it. I think, I don't know if anybody remembers in the marina the summer lawn jazz festivals that happen, and taking, the little boat back and forth, and the alcohol use that was allowed there. I don't know if anyone realizes this, but there was a lot of pushback from some of those community members, and it ended up being something that was sorely missed by the same community members who weren't for it. So, ironically, the people who were against it ended up being sad that it went away. So I'm looking forward to this to being permanent, and I agree with Councilmember Raskin. Any way we can expand it. I just came from a country that literally activates every alley, streetway, crevice underneath the trains. I mean, you turn left or right, and if you can fit 5 people and call it a bar, it's there. So I feel like if we can find ways to make the promenade back to its heyday and its glory, I think it's just different. I think we need to understand that people are coming to the downtown Santa Monica area and coming to any shopping area. I really don't like when people compare this promenade to the Century City Shopping Mall. That's a totally different experience. You're literally going there to do like mass shopping and maybe eat something. People want an experience. They're not looking for an oversized 3-story Gap. They're looking for an experience. And we don't want to be that. We're not here to offer the big box retail stores. We're here to offer a balance, but predominantly we want to be unique and different because that's what Santa Monica is. And so I'm super excited that I know that this is an exercise for you guys to hear from us to lead the direction. I don't think you're opposed to anything we're saying, but I think you need to hear it from the dais, and I think all of us up here in unison saying we want to think bigger, we want to think better, we want to be bold, and we'd like to be first because why not? And if we can think of a really cool 4-letter acronym, Rabbi's kind of like, I don't know, it's sticking, but for the DORA or whatever, I think adding the community as taking part and even coming up with that would sort of set the tone and get the messaging out early so that people can participate. But I agree with Councilmember Raskin that expanding to, I hope that at some point we can expand this beyond so that we're activating Montana and Ocean Park and, other areas that kind of miss out on this opportunity because they're staggered in terms of how many bars and restaurants are there. And that we think of it just beyond bars and restaurants, but art, music, and really activating just all of our spaces. So thank you to staff. I think the direction's been pretty clear up here, and I think we can move forward unless anybody has anything else that they need to add. So you had specific questions up there. Do you feel like you've gotten the direction that you need? Because you're going to come back with more specifics.
Yeah, I think we've definitely heard very clearly the direction, and we can return on as early as I think May.
Oh, Councilmember Snell. Yeah, how fast can you do it? Well, I know June 21st is going to be the first.
We would like to bring this back at your next meeting if we
Okay,
can.
so
Our
first meeting in May.
Yeah, because I just have a sense from council that we're all excited about it, and we'd like to see this.
We want to get down and party. We're trying to plan these parties.
I think as soon as we can bring it back.
We've all started designing a solo cup while you were talking.
Thank you.
Council, as a reminder, we come back on the 13th. It can be approved that day. It's effective immediately. And would you like it on consent then, or do you want to have another conversation?
No, I think
On consent.
But I think we need like additional direction, just really specifically that we want to see this as a permanent program.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the note is we can always come back and modify an ordinance. We can always come back and say something's not working, we need to modify it. So making it permanent just allows us and businesses, like we just mentioned, to plan ahead, and that makes the most sense. Why would we, do it and then come back for another conversation? Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Councilmember?
Well, yeah, and I would just clarify, and I think you already have this, but there's the question of permanent versus pilot, but there's also the question of event-based versus regular.
No,
and
regular.
I
Regular,
just wanted to
yes.
make that clear because that's a separate.
So the direction that we're hearing is
I heard clearly regular.
Yes.
regular,
I think you heard all of it.
regular,
Yes.
permanent,
Right.
bigger, broader, better, all the Bs, BBB,
And
all of it.
opportunity
An
for
opportunity.
private security.
Yep.
Right, and for folks who are coming in, we had the conversation earlier in our meeting that oftentimes large operators who have done events professionally for decades come in with their own security. Police signs off on it and says, clearly you have this under control, and they approve. So leaving the verbiage ambiguous enough that it gives the opportunity for folks to provide their own security when applicable.
And again, that would be in the management plan, so this direction is really helpful for us to continue to work with our partners in shaping that program. We definitely hear you loud and clear on that, yeah.
So does somebody want to make a motion?
When it comes to bringing it back, are there going to be hours proposed in what's brought back next time, or is that something we need to talk about now, or we would weigh in on then, or?
I mean, preliminarily, I know that there's been some specific hours, but to be honest, like, you know, we could even come back with a 7-day-a-week thing if you're interested. I mean, it's sort of allowing businesses flexibility to do what they want, because there isn't that limitation. I'm hearing a sort of like Thursday to Sunday interest, all holidays.
I would say if there's not an opposition on this council for, like, we should not be doing it at this hours, it should just flow with the flexibility of a business hours, because there's brunch opportunities, there's nighttime opportunities. I think it should coincide with what the business is doing.
The only limitation is that it has to match the hours of a licensed
Right.
business. You know, so whatever it is, if it's, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., then that is like the maximum that because you can't have it be broader than what a licensed business.
I guess my question was, is it in the ordinance or something that would be
Brought
an
back.
administrative plan?
That has to be in the ordinance
Okay,
for the state law.
got it. Well, I would say, I think you're hearing general sense of greater flexibility, as you said. I certainly think that evenings and weekends would make sense, but I'm open,
Yeah.
You're talking about 7 days a week, though.
I mean, from our perspective, I don't know the difference. Obviously, we would
Right.
consult further with police on that, but I think we hear the interest in that. But if it's, a weekend thing, I would honestly say, why not just 8 a.m. to 2 a.m.? Like, because I feel in our experience, when you put something like 2 p.m. or 10 a.m., then someone does 9:30, I need to do
Right.
9:30, and it's just do the expanse.
Creates more
and
work,
people make a
right.
choice.
Sorry, just to be clear, at a minimum, we want to see Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And if there's sorry, that's what I meant, 2 a.m. And if there's a Monday or Friday holiday, the same hours as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we need a motion?
Sorry, just and to clarify that if there's a Friday holiday, we would want the Thursday as well.
Basically, Sunday through Friday.
Just
7
Thursday to
days a
Sunday.
week.
Yeah, and that's why we said 7
Why
days.
can't we just say 7 days a week? Yeah. I mean, for me, Wednesdays are a holiday. All the time.
Sure. Yeah. Unless we see a problem with that.
Yeah, let's do 7 days.
7 days a week.
So then, Mayor, the motion would be to continue it, bring it back at the next meeting with this direction.
No, with the ordinance that implements it.
Right.
Right.
Bring it back at the next meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Do we need to do a roll call? No, I'm sorry. Councilmember Hall made the motion and Councilmember Snell seconded it.
Okay. Councilmember Zwick,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Raskin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis,
Aye.
Councilmember Snell,
Yes.
Councilmember Jurnitskaya,
Yes.
and Mayor Negrete.
Yes. All righty.
Moving on to the 16 items.
Oh, we got to open our envelope.
Well, not yet. So one item's been pulled and one is an appointment. So if we want to move the rest of the items and then we'll come back. We'd be moving 16B and 16C.
I'd like, does someone want to make a motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
I move 16B and C.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Terosis and seconded by Raskin.
We need a roll call. Councilmember Zwick,
This is B and C?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Raskin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis,
Yes.
Councilmember Snell,
Yes.
Councilmember Jurnitskaya,
Yes.
Mayor Negrete.
Yes.
To clarify, did we pull 16D?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, thanks.
All right, we're having some technical issues, so let me.
Mayor, while we're waiting, can I ask a clarifying question about our ranked choice voting process?
Sure.
Sorry, I should have asked this before, but like, let's say hypothetically that 7 council members are in consensus about 4 candidates, and there's a 5th candidate who gets 1 vote in the ranked choice process. Could that 5th person be elected by less than a majority of the council?
Are there, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's what's written into the rules, so I think it's fine.
Happened last time.
Okay. All right. Even if they only receive 1 vote from 1 council member.
Correct, that's how the rules are written. At least that's how the city attorney explained it to me last time.
Well, I'll make a preliminary motion, assuming we get the tech stuff going. For me, I'm only inclined to vote for 4 candidates. I would move that we appoint 4 people.
So there are 3 seats that are specific. You do realize that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, this is going to get too complicated. I'm sorry. Let's go on maybe.
That's what we did last time. Yeah.
Yeah, this is totally.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
To what, go seat by seat?
No, the motion is to appoint 4 tonight.
Oh, okay. I don't know that we need a motion for that necessarily.
I think that's what we have.
Point.
Yeah, we only.
I do,
have 4 QRs.
if we could back up a little bit though, there was an application that was received late. And so it was the application for Eric Fisher, I believe it was sent to you earlier. So if council is so inclined, you need to make a motion to accept that late application.
I'll accept it.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept that late application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, hold on. I think we had a motion on the floor too about limiting the number of seats.
We don't need it. You just fill what you fill. I don't think you really need a motion.
No, he would need a motion.
So we're only going to fill 4 seats tonight, and there's 5 available? That's what we're doing?
Yeah, I don't want there to be a situation where, say, I vote for 4 people, and say there's 5 other council members who want to vote for 4 people, and then there's 1 dissenting council member who votes for a 5th person.
Okay, I'll second.
I don't really understand what's happening, but that's okay.
To appoint 4, even if there's 1 person that votes for a 5th person.
Okay. Let's just.
Aye.
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 All right. So.
Which one are we starting with?
So the first seat. I can't operate. There's something wrong with my computer, so I've got to move over here.
You have to go to several websites. What was the name of the late person?
Eric Fisher.
Plug it in. Yeah, plug it in.
It's working, mine's working.
Fisher doesn't live in San Monica. According to this, he was.
All right.
Right. City Attorney, would you be able to clarify if everybody on this advisory board would need to be a Santa Monica resident?
We check while we're leaving.
Yeah, I think we might have to, because I can't get it up tonight, and it's possible that you don't need ranked choice voting depending on the number of candidates, and it's so few candidates.
Okay, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Sorry, Dan. We're going back to the archaic ways. Yeah. Oh, this was fun. I look forward to the envelope. All right, so
The first one is for experience with individuals with psychiatric or other disabilities. There are 4 qualified candidates for this seat: Edward Costello, Jennifer Kaplan, Cassia Weller, and Eric Fisher.
Nominate Cassia Weller.
wait, say that into your mic.
Sorry. I nominate Cassia Weller.
Any other nominations? By acclamation? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome, Cassia Weller.
The next seat is for someone who has experience as a youth advocate, and there's only 2 candidates for this: Jennifer Kaplan and Eric Fisher.
Any nominations?
I nominate Eric Fisher.
Can we just clarify that this person does not live in Santa Monica according to his application? Is that a problem?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to check with the city attorney.
Do you have to live in Santa Monica?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's
Should we move to the next one?
Yeah, we can move to the next one. Okay, the next one is for someone with experience with law enforcement. There's 3 candidates for this. Well, there's only 2 now because Cassia has already been chosen. So Edward Costello and Frederick Foy.
Any nominations?
Edward Costello. Or no, or is this the one where you don't? That did not get a second. Okay.
It doesn't need a
Doesn't
second.
need a second, yeah.
Okay, well,
Your nomination.
I withdraw my nomination.
Any other nominations?
Well, the second person didn't fill out the application, so.
Okay, well, we can move on to, well, so
just to clarify, law enforcement experience means you were a law enforcement public service, like a police officer, or not necessarily?
I don't.
Okay.
This isn't.
City Attorney, does the law enforcement experience mean you had to have been a police officer?
I don't, well, I have to check.
Okay.
So we can move on to the other one, which is just any category. There's only 2 candidates that didn't fit the bill for any of the other, the other positions: Maurice Bell and Amy Gottstein.
I'd like to nominate Amy Gottstein.
Any other nominations? By acclamation? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome, Amy. So we've got 2 left. Should we go back to, do we have an answer on the youth advocate? Do you have to live in Santa Monica?
We don't yet know. To research this, could we come back at the next meeting on the unfilled slots?
Sheesh. Okay.
I don't think that they're necessarily in a hurry to fill this.
Okay.
Starting time soon.
Okay.
Is there
So I'll move to continue the item.
Yeah, I just want
for
to
the
point
remaining
out,
seats.
yes, that there was no applications for this, and I did a little video, and I just want to say to all our council members, please continue to promote it, because honestly, within minutes of that and promoting it at the Welcome with the Mayor, people applied there. So I think sometimes people just aren't aware, and they might be interested if we need more applicants. So maybe by the time we come back, we might have a fuller applicant list to select from as well.
Can I also add to, I really appreciate everyone who's applied for this, but several of the applications were missing substantial information. And there are people I think who could very well be qualified, but I am not prepared to vote on applications that are missing information.
I agree with that.
And I just want to note for the record, our office did follow up with them to get more information, and we didn't receive it.
And I would just say, I think all of us are willing to record videos, put that on our social media, put that in the new city news. I mean, like, however, it shouldn't just have to be Lana doing it. I think we all.
No, yeah, we should all do it, yeah.
want to do it.
I just got a call and said I would do it because I saw that there wasn't any, so I'm just saying, like we talked about before, if we know and have some, some script or something we can forward on
Well, maybe we can get like an update.
of like which ones are open.
I mean, I can look at it, but yeah.
And we'll get you the qualifications before. the next
Okay,
meeting.
and now we're to 16D.
Right, we have to back up. There was a motion on the floor to continue. It's the law enforcement seat and then the two.
The youth advocate.
I'm sorry, youth advocate. Well, so, no, it's all.
Law enforcement and youth advocate.
Right, and then there's but we're still
The-
only doing 4 at this time, or does it, for
Well,
the-
now we just did what we did because there was incomplete applications, so we just did the 2, so we have 2 left.
3, right?
There's 3.
3, sorry.
I'm sorry, I need a second. Councilmember Hall made a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. And then now we're at 16D, right?
16D. Request of Councilmembers Emmett Skaya and Councilmembers Wick that the City Council take a support if amended position on AB 306, which would impose a 6-year moratorium from June 1, 2025 to June 1, 2031 on the adoption or modification of state and local building standards affecting residential units. The City of Santa Monica, with limited exceptions. As noted in a letter from the City of West Hollywood, the City of Santa Monica would request that the bill be amended such that only new residential units would be impacted by the bill. Additionally, the city would request an amendment to clarify that cities and counties may relax local building codes such that they revert to the state standard and that state and local governments can adopt the state 2025 code and allow work to begin on the 2031 state building codes before June 1, 2031 in order to proceed with the normal code adoption process for the 2031 code. The City Council directs the city manager to prepare and send a letter expressing the city's support, if amended, position that articulates council's amendment request and sends the letter to the bill author, Senator Allen and Assemblymember Zipper.
So,
Councilmember
if I may,
Zielinski.
thank you. So I think that the title of this item describes the bill fairly accurately. The reason that I wanted to pull it was because since we put this item on the agenda, I received some additional concerns and feedback from constituents regarding the impact that this bill may have on our efforts to move towards more sustainable building codes, such as requiring electrification, and that it may be better if we went with a oppose unless amended. So if, actually, before I make any sort of motion, Councilmember Zwick, would you like to add anything?
Honestly, it's a kind of complicated subject. I did want to sign on to this in part because we as a council have at least one pending building code change that I'm looking forward to us implementing this year. It was the advice of the city attorney's office that rescinding our amended high-rise requirement would not actually trigger any of the prohibitions within AB 306. So as to the question of whether, freezing the building code would substantially lower cost for new infill housing that is already substantially more energy efficient, or whether it would impede new energy efficient requirements that are very important, I frankly feel a little bit uncertain as to how I can want to weigh in on that, because I've seen a lot of evidence that goes in different directions. But I'm happy to, if you would like to amend it further, I may not be able to vote.
Understood. So if the rest of the council would be amenable, I'd like to move this item with the changes that it would be oppose unless amended, and add in direction requesting an exemption for electrification updates into the building code.
Does anybody else want to, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I just want to say, as our appointee to the Clean Power Alliance, I want to just weigh in that the Clean Power Alliance has stated that they are opposed unless amended. The current version of the bill has a blanket freeze on amendments to the municipal codes, and we feel it would impede the adoption of REACH codes that would encourage electrification. I too understand that this is a very complicated issue. You basically have pro-housing and pro-environment folks at odds with each other. I don't love that we're weighing into this at all, quite frankly. But I do think, as our representative on the CPA, and the fact that we default to 100% green electricity in Santa Monica, and that we were one of the founding members of that, this has been a significant climate issue. So amending the bill to allow municipalities to adopt REACH codes, I think is pretty important, just given that work. And I support Councilmember Zernitskaya's change, but of all the bills that we have to weigh in on, I'm not sure that this is like the first one I would choose. Thanks.
Okay, so do we have a motion? Sorry, Councilmember Raskin.
Yeah, I agree with what Mayor Pro Tem Torosa said. Councilmember Zernitskaya, just to be clear, would you reference electrification codes?
Yeah.
So all REACH codes? Okay.
Yeah. So the clarification of to basically add the concerns that the Clean Power Alliance had with this bill, to include those in our comments with the opposed unless amended language.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Councilmember Hall.
It's just a quick question of Councilmember Zernitskaya. Do we know if this bill, or the city attorney, do we know if this bill would affect our ability? I guess I understand from Councilmember Zwick that this would not affect our ability to implement single stair reform or change our high-rise definition.
High-rise is one thing. Single stairwell is already being looked at by the state right now.
Right, but if the state doesn't implement, then we would want to implement on our own, right?
Sorry, Councilmember, I'm happy to answer that. Councilmember Hall, so we had a discussion about the potential impact of our ability to implement single stair, and that's actually also included in this where it says to clarify that cities and counties may relax local building code standards such that they revert to state standard, because it does exempt the state building. The state entity that decides like state level building codes, it exempts them from doing anything there is a carve out that allows the state agency to implement single stair reforms into the building codes. So we would be able to adopt that state standard without being we would basically be able to adopt that standard without having to have a specific carve out for cities and counties, if that makes sense.
Yes, correct, assuming the state does.
Right, and so if the state does not, and they have not, that would prevent us from implementing single stair reform.
We have spoken with a member of our fire department who is actually on that working group for the state. And my understanding is that there is a anticipated timeline for when those changes would go into effect at the state level. I believe so, unless, Councilmember Zwick, you were also on the call. Could you correct my memory if I'm wrong?
So to speak further to your point, Councilmember Hall, it is looking likely that the state may implement a change as early as the middle of next year. The process that would be proposed locally would be one of alternate means and methods, which I believe is something that could be done because it's not actually changing the building code, but rather providing an alternate pathway to satisfy the current code. The recommendation of our fire chief and marshal was that it is likely that the state process will end up with something more permissive than we would come up with locally via that process. But that is still a process of alternate means and methods that we could pursue. It just would not be exactly, as far as amending the state building code to be less restrictive, it needs to be accompanied by a series of additional changes that would meet an equal safety standard, which you would do through an alternate means and methods process. So that is an option, but I think the hope is that we'll get to a better standard if we wait to see if what the state comes up with by January.
So you're trying to move this item with amendments?
Yeah, so I moved the item. I don't know. I don't think it
Did you
got
still,
a second.
You're still in the queue. Councilmember Hall?
No.
So you're moving it with your amendments?
Yes, and I don't think it's gotten a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, so it has a second by Councilmember Raskin.
Councilmember Zerniskaya?
Yes.
Councilmember Snell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Terosis?
Abstain.
Councilmember Raskin?
Yes.
Councilmember Hall?
Abstain.
Councilmember Zwick?
No.
And Mayor Negrete?
No. And to explain my no vote is because I don't feel comfortable because I don't fully understand it. So I'm sorry.
And likewise, while I definitely support the goals of decarbonization, I think if we start saying we're going to oppose it unless they remove all the elements of the bill, it sort of becomes I'm not sure what we're doing. So
It still passes 3-2.
Well, no, there's abstentions.
No, it doesn't count. Abstentions are 0, so it still passes.
No.
I thought it
All
doesn't
motions
need-
require 4 votes to pass.
Yeah, so I think it fails since it didn't get 4
I'm
votes.
confused. Say that
It
again?
needs 4 positive votes to pass.
Right. Abstentions are like a no, I always thought. Yeah.
Abstentions are just blanks. They're blanks.
But I always thought abstentions were treated.
They are not.
Yeah, oh, okay.
They are
Okay.
not.
So it's like a no vote,
It's
basically.
not a no, though.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, just mean like no vote, not a no.
vote, but it doesn't
Yeah.
get counted. Right.
Like a 0 vote, yeah.
There were only 3 votes to pass. It takes 4.
Yeah, so it didn't pass. Did not pass.
It did not pass.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Well, with that, we are going to adjourn this meeting in memory of Dale Robert Eagle, and Councilmember Zernitzky is going to read the adjournment.
Tonight, we adjourn our meeting in memory of Dale Robert Eagle, a Santa Monica native whose life was filled with curiosity, creativity, and deep connection to both community and family. Born on February 18, 1974, Dale was raised in Santa Monica and graduated from Santa Monica High School before continuing his education at Santa Monica College. He went on to build a career as an IT computer technician, a profession well-suited to his inquisitive mind and love for technology. In his youth, Dale was a devoted surfer who found joy and peace in the waves of the Pacific Ocean. That love for adventure and exploration continued throughout his life. Alongside his wife, Dina, who's in the audience today, he began collecting and selling antiques in 2018, a shared passion that led them to relocate to Harrodsburg, Kentucky in 2021. Together, they traveled across 4 continents, 17 countries, and 36 states, always seeking new experiences and making memories along the way. Dale was a man of many interests. He enjoyed gardening, playing poker with friends, and flying remote-controlled airplanes. He had a lifelong appreciation for sci-fi and was known for quoting classic films from the 1980s and 90s. And perhaps most uniquely, he found joy in dressing up and participating in Renaissance fairs, where he built a cherished Ren Fair family. I have his little Princess Dale pin from the Renaissance Fair on Sunday. Dale is survived by his wife, Dina Eagle Meacham, his wife, Constance Eagle, his sister, Elise Eagle, his aunt, Marilyn Martin of Santa Monica, and his beloved pets, Ripley, Sandy, Inky, and Rocket. He also leaves behind a large and loving extended family and many friends who will carry his memory with them always. He was preceded in death by his father, Gene Eagle, and his grandparents. Dale Robert Eagle lived a vibrant and adventurous life. May his spirit continue to inspire those who knew him, and may he rest in peace. Long live Princess Dale.
Thank you for that. And thank you for attending, and our condolences to you. And that concludes our meeting. We will resume. I don't have I threw away my script. April, May.
April 29th.
Yes, we'll see everyone next Tuesday. Stay sassy, Santa Monica.